This is the unofficial One Piece podcast, episode 300 for the week of Monday, January 6th, 2014. My name is Zach.
And my name is Ed.
And my name is Steve.
On today's episode, which is a very special episode, we have our special guest, Stephen.
It's our tricentennial.
It is our tricentennial.
We're 300 years old.
It's totally what it is.
No,
this has been going on for a long time.
One episode a year.
Way over 300 podcasts.
That's the thing. We definitely have done at least 320, 330. But this is our 300th episode title.
Including that abridged podcast you never released.
Hey,
No, that doesn't count.
That doesn't count because no one knows it exists.
But I'll tell you what does count. The Boobcast.
Oh, God.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
The product of yesteryear.
We also have, from Japan, we have William.
Hi.
Nice to have you back again.
Nice to be back.
William has been doing a great job posting. He's been our first new recruit on our news team. We have updated the website. I think I talked about this last time. We have a brand new website. It's all done. Huge thanks to Heath from Kanzenshu for putting that together. I keep wanting to say Kanzenshu EX, which is still not correct, but thanks to him for putting that all together. And I want to thank William on the air for putting up a lot of news stories these last 2 weeks while we've been gone. I think it's really helped fill the void.
No problem. Just when I see something on the official One Piece website, which is one piece with a hyphen.com, go check it out. I just translate it and check the related websites, or when I see something in Jump.
Don't give away your secrets. Don't give away your secrets.
Oh God, professional secrets. Yeah, no, but what I was really interested, had really a lot of fun doing was the Gorilla Color Walk article, which I kept really brief so you guys would be able to look forward to something in the next episode.
Yes, so next week we'll be talking about, since New York City doesn't have Color Walk 6 Gorilla, we're going to have to talk about it next week.
Nor does the West Coast.
Apparently all of the United States is plagued with lack of gorilla, which is actually usually a good thing. So we'll be doing that and our top 5 color spreads both next week, and we'll be doing a full anime filler marathon recap thing since we haven't done the anime in a while. But I think we should talk about this week's episode first. This is a really special episode. This week we are honored to have Sasaki Hisashi, the Deputy Manager for the Rights Department for the International Publishing Division at Shueisha, and he's also the former Editor-in-Chief at Weekly Shonen Jump, and we're really excited to have him on this week. And we're going to have Greg on, Steven on, Ed, and myself. We're going to talk to Sasaki-san about One Piece and Shonen Jump and English Shonen Jump, and we're really excited about it.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of speaks for itself. So
yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. So that'll be on this episode. We also have a manga recap of chapter 733 with everyone who is here right now. We're going to talk about that chapter. It's exciting. One Piece is back on Toonami, and it is getting really good. If you are not watching, it's every Saturday at 1 a.m., right after Space Dandy, Bleach, and Naruto Shippuden. So really great lineup. Toonami's just been getting really crazy good lately. If you have not been watching, next week is the big, I'll put it this way, Usopp Water 7 episode, okay? That's pretty obvious, so watch it. You guys have been watching, right?
Oh yeah. It was a really good episode this week.
Yeah,
it was.
Very
uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable.
We'll talk a little bit more about it later on in the episode. We also Dennis and I did a pieces of 8 for the first time in a long time. So we have probably the coolest figures we've ever gone through in this segment, and I'm really excited to go through it. It's a lot of the stuff from Jump Festa this year, and some of my personal favorite figures from what I've seen over the last year. So I'm really excited to go through that with him. Remember, if you are listening on the AAC feed, you'll be able to see the pictures in that segment. We also have some Piece Together. So before we get started, I just want to...
Did you forget about our video game review?
And of course, your video game review, Stephen. if you're up for it, yeah, I'm no. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's go crazy. I have the time. We're doing it this week. It will not be the Matt Damon joke from the end of every Jimmy Kimmel episode. I mix those two up for a second. Yeah, so we'll have that on this episode as well. Check out our website, onepiecePodcast.com, one more time. For William's articles, we're also taking news and editorial people. I'm going through those right now, and I'll be sending emails this week. So get those in quick if you haven't sent in, any writing sample just to show that, you're a capable writer, and if you want to be part of the site. I also want to make a big announcement here that we are now on YouTube. We're finally putting our full episodes on YouTube only a month after they air. We did our syndicated thing before they allowed us to put full-length episodes on, but now we can. So if you're subscribed on youtube.com/OnePiecePodcast, you could go check out the episodes a month after they air. We just added 295. After that one, they will all be in high super quality, so check that out.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thanks, Zach.
Thank you for the enthusiasm. So it's the big 300th episode spectacular. Why don't we get right into it?
All right.
This is the news segment, and helping me with the news this week, since he's been helping us with the news on the website, we have William with us. Hey, William.
Hi.
You've been moving up that ladder very quickly.
Almost too quickly. I'm getting a bit of vertigo right here.
So yeah, Firecrouch's news. What is he writing about? Nothing inappropriate actually this week, so that's good. But
for once,
next time. So yeah, what does he start with?
So apparently Hirofumi Take, who ended the Chopperman spin-off manga that was in the Sasaki Jump magazine in the February 2014 issue that was released on January 4th. The magazine also announced a new One Piece spin-off manga to be in the works, but no more details as of yet. Sasaki Jump, as well as Shonen Jump, also promoted the new live-action Universal Studios Japan premiere show that will let fans meet Ace again. Shueisha is also holding a design contest for the shirt that will be offered when the One Piece art exhibition heads to Taiwan. Also, what I would like to add is that from the website, what I could notice is that it's not it doesn't seem to be a new One Piece show. I'm not sure about that, but it's definitely going to be an Ace-oriented show, and it'll be during the spring season. But there's also going to be a new show that is going to be shown during the summer season. So that means there's going to be two shows this year.
Wow. I know the one Greg and I saw in the summer it had no Ace, obviously, but it seemed to be very unsurprisingly Law and Doflamingo focused.
Yeah, because there was I think the thing was that fans were supposed to vote who they wanted to see back, so I think it's not really a new show, but more of a repeat based on the fans' demands,
right? Who
could choose between Ace or Doflamingo. So I think the Ace show is a repeat of a previous one, but the new show is going to be this summer.
Oh, okay, I see. So of course we have numbers, and there's some really interesting ones. One Piece has done very well on the New York Times bestseller list from December 15th through the 21st. It went from 1st to 3rd, still stayed up there. And even in its 4th week, it only dropped from 3rd to 9th, which I guess is a bigger drop, but it's still in the top 10, so that's pretty good. And in anime ratings, One Piece got a 9.4, which is also pretty good for the week of December 16th through the 22nd, and was the 4th highest rated anime program of the week. What's next, William?
Next, the Japanese website Koibu, a website that allows people to record and publish their voice recordings and songs, recently conducted a poll open to voice actors registered with their website regarding the best voice actors, anime, games, and karaoke songs in 2013. Keep in mind that the participants merely had to be self-proclaimed voice actors, so no professionals. According to the results, One Piece was voted the 5th best manga of 2013. And on a related note, the One Piece Volume 73 is bound to be released in Japan on the 4th of March. So be sure to be on the lookout for volume covers and stuff like that.
So according to the Oricon bestsellers ranking, One Piece Film Z Greatest Armored Edition was the seventh best-selling animation Blu-ray in Japan, selling an estimated 57,779 discs, and the regular edition placed at 49th, selling 22,237. Sounds like the limited edition is much more popular. We also have, according to Media Create's Japanese video game sales ranking, One Piece Unlimited World Red, which we talk about today, which includes bundled edition, was the 14th best-selling video game of the week of December 16th through the 22nd. It sold 28,108 for the week and a grand total of 169,388. One Piece Volume 72 in Japan came in at 36th place. It's still up there for the week of December 16th through the 22nd. In its 8th week, it sold an estimated 28,416 for a grand estimated total of 2,602,053. And we'll round things off with what everyone cares about, One Piece Log Collection Hancock, that debuted at 2nd place on Oricon's Japan Animation DVD rankings for the week of December 16th through the 22nd. It sold 14,779 units. I don't know if that has anything cool like the Shaw Buddy set did, which apparently it had that album in it, but
I don't know. I haven't gotten a chance to see the Law collection in stores.
Well, I know they're very expensive. Well, I think they're like $100 each, but they're probably the best deal you can get out there, since Japanese DVDs are so expensive.
Yeah, I think what was it? The Punk Hazard arc was 4 episodes for the price of 5,500 yen. So that's about $50 for 4 episodes.
To put things,
the Blu-ray.
For those in the United States, you could get that. Well, they don't have a Blu-ray here, but for the DVD set, you could probably get 26 episodes. I'm sorry, you could probably get 48 episodes for that same price as 4 episodes. So you get at least 10 times more for the same price. That's really crazy. That's why they try and prevent reverse importation as much as they do. Anyway, thank you so much for doing the news with me, William. Ready to move on to the next segment?
Yeah, sure. Let's go.
Today we are very lucky to be able to talk to Hisashi Sasaki of Shueisha, the publishing company behind Weekly Shonen Jump, which is, of course, the home of the podcast's namesake. Greg, can you let everyone know about Sasaki-san?
Yeah, I think a lot of our casual listeners will probably recognize Sasaki-san's name from the series Bakuman. That's where a character with the same name was the editor-in-chief of the fictional magazine Shonen Jack. But of course, Jump fans all know that Sasaki-san was actually the editor-in-chief of the real Weekly Shonen Jump. Sasaki-san, I think I speak for all of us when I say it's a pleasure to be able to talk with you, and we're very grateful that you made time for us in your busy schedule, especially at this time of year.
Hello everybody, and this is Sasaki speaking, and Jackson and everybody, thank you very much for having me here and have provided me a chance to talk to directly to American readers.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Well, if you don't mind, we've prepared just a brief profile to kind of properly introduce you to all of our listeners. Sasaki-san has served as the editor for the famous Weekly Shonen Jump series, such as Hell Teacher Nube, and of course Kochikame. But he was also the editor of the world-famous Rurouni Kenshin for its entire serialization from 1994 to 1999, which compared to the modern turnaround for the editors is really an incredible span, especially for such a popular series. As we mentioned earlier, Sasaki-san was the 9th editor-in-chief of Japan's Weekly Shonen Jump from 2008 to 2012, after which he moved to a position in which he oversaw the production of not one, but 4 of Shueisha's publications: Weekly Shonen Jump, the video game publication V-Jump, in which you can read the phenomenal monthly article Grelog no Tsushin, the monthly comic magazine Jump Square, and the comic magazine aimed at younger readers, Saikyo Jump. Currently, he is the deputy manager of the rights department, where he is deeply involved in overseeing international publications, which, of course, includes our very own simultaneous English Weekly Shonen Jump. So basically, Sasaki-san, you are responsible for the childhood dreams of every kid that grew up in Japan in the last 20 years or so. All right, well, now we have some questions for you. Let's start off with Stephen.
Okay, so Shonen Jump, it began when you were very young, I believe.
Yeah.
So did you read that growing up when you were a child?
Year 2013 was the 45th anniversary for the Weekly Shonen Jump, so the Shonen Jump is a little bit younger than me. But I started reading Shonen Jump in the 5th grade, just about every week.
Wow.
And was there any series that you remember that made an impact on you?
Oh yeah, there are so
At the time?
many. Yeah, there are so many. Like the famous Bereft Gang was I read them. I read it real time, and maybe Astro Kyudan, Doberman Deka.
Oh yeah.
You have heard of it? Susume Pirates, Let's Go Pirates by Eguchi Sensei, or of course Kochikame was already in Shonen Jump. But when I was reading it as a kid, I would have never thought that I would eventually become the editor to Kochikame.
Wow, that's incredible. Yeah.
Sort of to follow on that question, Sasaki-san, how did you come to work at Shueisha and eventually on Jump?
Oh, okay. I kind of wanted to be a writer or some sort, but it was clear to me that I couldn't become any writer or novelist. Of course, no mangaka. I was helpless about creating things. So I thought I'd try to become an editor instead. Now, right out of college, I got a job with Shueisha, and luckily enough, I was placed into the Shonen Jump editorial department.
Wow. That
It's very lucky.
Yeah, I think so.
that reminds me of a similar story that I've heard, and I think a lot of our One Piece Podcast Japan listeners will enjoy hearing that later when that's released. So that's very interesting. We've talked a little bit about your past, and now currently as the deputy deputy manager of the rights department. How does your current job relate to Weekly Shonen Jump?
Well, after belonging to the editorial department for nearly 30 years, I was replaced to the rights department last July, and I'm now in charge of international publishing, including English version Weekly Shonen Jump. And since the English Shonen Jump consists of all the Shonen Jump mangas, I regularly talk with editors of Shonen Jump, and we decide which one to be placed in the magazine next, or things like that. So even though I am not belonging to the editorial department anymore, I regularly talk with editors in Shonen Jump and work with them, because this kind of international publishing is not done only by the one department. The several departments need to cooperate to accomplish the aim of spreading the manga all over the world. Is it good enough?
Absolutely. Well, I was just thinking it must be such a complicated process because, as you said, it's all over the world. It's not just one country or one language. So that's very, very complex.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, when you were previously you were the editor-in-chief of Jump, and when you are the head editor-in-chief, and there are these very big hit series, One Piece or Naruto or Bleach. What is your job to help maintain that success?
Yes, for the manga artists, for the mangaka, I always wanted to keep the magazine as a magazine that was worthy of publishing the manga in. That's what I always try to keep in mind. The greatest motivation for a mangaka is to have more people read their manga. And that becomes even more true when a series becomes a big hit like One Piece, Naruto, or Bleach. So sell more copies, include lots of new series, keep trying new things, create buzz and get the reader's attention. Try to get new manga readers. It was important to be a magazine that could do all these things.
Oh, that's interesting.
And speaking of keeping the magazine strong like that, which new artists or series do you find especially promising, or that you would recommend for our listeners to seek out and read them?
Currently, I think World Trigger and Shugeki no Soma is not introduced yet, but it's going to be. And Assassination. These
Wow.
are great, I think. And they will get even better, I believe.
I'm very excited for both of those, yes.
Yeah. It's difficult for readers abroad to get into sports manga like Haikyuu and Gyaguma, like Isobe Isobe, which is really good and getting really popular in Japan. But I think they would gain interest if they could get translated properly and were made available for people to read.
That's great.
I think that's a big for Gintama in particular. Many fans would love to see an English version of Gintama.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so too.
What has your role been in the English Weekly Shonen Jump digital release?
I've been the person responsible on the Japan side since the planning stage.
Oh, wow. So, I mean, as recently as a few years ago, authors seemed to be, against the digital publications of their work. And now with the introduction of larger tablets and viewing means, have you noticed any change in the opinion from mangaka about digital releases?
Yes, for Shonen Jump manga and mangaka, 2-page spreads are very important. Mangaka think in terms of spreads when they create the manga. So it's great that there are devices like an iPad that are portable, but also can show manga with 2-page spread. And that makes mangaka much more easier to approve their manga to be published digitally.
I think that. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, does that make sense to you?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
I've heard that before, and especially that you don't have the crease in the middle of the page, I think is
I may be getting ahead of myself just a little bit here, but I do know that in the past, particularly Oda Sensei, one of his points that he was very particular about was, as you mentioned, the importance of the as we call it, the double page spread.
Yeah, it's like Japanese, huh?
Yes. It's very, very important when you turn the page to be able to have that impact and the size of that. Yeah. And I think, as you mentioned, with tablets now, that's starting to change, and I hope that more authors will embrace the new medium.
Yeah.
So basically we've been talking about Jump and Weekly Shonen Jump around the world, And now we are seeing the 45th anniversary manga competition, which is gathering artwork from hopeful artists around the world. And I think that that's really a sign of the modern times. Did you play a role in deciding an event of this kind of global scale?
No. I didn't have a role in it. This project was done after I left the editorial department and went to the rights department. But I am very excited about it and have been eagerly watching from I have been eagerly watching from the sidelines. It's not just about. Well, go ahead.
No, you've blown my mind, because this decision for the 45th manga competition seemed so very much one of your kind of global thoughts or global outreaching, and I'm so impressed to see that the impact you've had on the editorial department, that on their own they're reaching out.
Well, actually, we have been talking about this kind of project quite some time. So, it's no wonder they came up with the idea, because everybody who is involved in manga would think about same thing. Anyway, it's not just about growing readers from different countries. I think manga will truly spread around the world if more and more manga artists are coming up from different places.
It's very exciting. Yes.
Yeah. So if we can start to see some international mangaka, that'd be very big.
Yes.
And speaking of which, now that English Weekly Shonen Jump is taking off around the world, and Jump Live is bringing original digital content to Japan, where do you hope to see? Where do you think Weekly Shonen Jump will go from here?
Well, to have readers all around the world reading Shonen Jump every week on Monday, that's our ultimate hope and dream, and I think that's attainable.
Wow, yeah, to be reading it at the same time, I think Stephen and I can both appreciate this, being longtime fans from way back of manga, but when we were in high school, just to think about reading simultaneous Weekly Shonen Jump in English was impossible.
Could never imagine.
Beyond impossible.
We have to thank the technologies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Sasaki-san, it's been great talking about Weekly Shonen Jump in Japanese and the English version. But now we'd like to talk a little bit about One Piece, if you don't mind. Is that all right?
Yeah, of course.
All right.
Great.
So I guess I'll get this started. If we may ask, what was your first experience with One Piece and with Oda-sensei?
Oda-sensei entered one of the regular monthly manga competitions of Shonen Jump. And that was the first time I saw his work. I actually don't remember the exact year, but some years back. And you could really sense his amazing talent in the panel layouts and the overall productions. It was hard to believe it was the work of an amateur. At the very least, I was sure that this person, Oda-sensei, would get serialized. It wasn't just me, though. Every editor who saw the manuscript was sure of it. But who would have expected him to become as popular as he is now? Probably Oda-sensei was the only person who didn't know about this.
It's very funny. Maybe I'm giving away a little bit about One Piece Goes to Japan. One Piece Podcast Goes to Japan, but I think we can discuss this much. Is in Oda-sensei's high school graduation book, he wrote a summary of what he will do, and in his final summary of after graduating, he said, "I'm going to be big." So he called it, as you said. He did. He understood. He knew it.
He was so right.
Yeah.
Well, just this is now coming back to linking it to you specifically with your relationship with Oda Sensei. But This is very specific, but in 2011, in the Weekly Shonen Jump, volume 3536, Oda-san dedicated his Kanmatsu comment to thanking you. He said that you believed in One Piece when the editorial section didn't yet. Was it difficult for Oda-sensei to start One Piece?
No, not really. As I mentioned in the previous question, every editor recognized Oda-sensei's talent. But the whole editorial department, editorial department's expectation of Oda-sensei were just too great. Normally, first-time rookie mangaka would get a chance at a serialization. Even if his work was a little rough, he would get in the magazine. But we are looking for much more from Oda-sensei than we did from a normal rookie mangaka. At the time, I was a hancho. It's a group leader of the Asada-san, who is Oda-sensei's first editor.
Yeah.
So I believed in Oda-sensei's talent a lot, and One Piece was so great. And I was also a group leader of Asada, so I really pushed for One Piece during the serialization meeting. It may have gotten serialized a little bit later than it might have, but it was extremely popular from the very first chapter.
Wow. And sort of keeping this thread of the discussion going, when you became editor-in-chief later on, how was your working relationship with Oda-sensei then?
I knew Oda-sensei from before his debut, because he was one of the early assistants of Rurouni Kenshin, Watsuki-sensei. So we talked a lot, even before his debut. So whenever there was a chance or a reason, I would go to talk to him directly. I'd often go to his studio, particularly when he was late.
I can imagine.
Yeah. And what was your impression of him, of Oda-sensei, as an artist relative to others? Was he serious or hardworking, or he's just having so much fun drawing? What was he like?
This isn't just limited to mangaka, but I don't know anyone who has had such a passion and motivation for his work for as long and as powerfully as Oda-sensei. Even after he became so successful, he still creates his work by doing 2 or 3 all-nighters every single week.
Wow.
I think his motivation is supported by his talent, his endless talent. How else could he continue to create completely new and original characters, even after the 15 years of serialization?
Now, just recently, One Piece reached the 300 million copies milestone. And I know you can't see it, but I'm holding in my hand the November 21st, 2013 New York Times with the full-page One Piece advertisement. Now, the celebration extended to this unprecedented level. How did this come about?
Well, the current editor-in-chief, Heishi-san, and the current editor, Isaka-san, came up with idea together with our PR department. And it turned out to be really great, didn't it?
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. It looks incredible.
Wow.
Jeez, I would have loved to be in the meeting for that one. Well, this is kind of our final question here. In 2014, coming back around to the English Weekly Shonen Jump, what can fans around the world expect? Do we have any surprises coming up in 2014?
Well, if I said everything we are thinking about now, I'd probably get fired. So I can talk about it a lot, but there's a lot in the works. So please look forward to it.
All right.
Really exciting.
As I said, our ultimate dream is to spread to have readers all around the world to read Shonen Jump every week on Monday.
And we have listeners all around the world who are listening, and I'm sure they're very excited to hear that.
We may be slow, but we are moving forward. So please be patient.
Well, I think that's it for our major questions, and we don't want to hold you up too much longer. But again, I think we all thank you very much for your time.
Of course.
I'm the one who thank you, because I always want to talk directly to the overseas fans, overseas readers. How and I want everybody to know about One Piece and Shonen Jump. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The movie event of the summer is coming this winter. We scoured Japan for the biggest One Piece events. We interviewed the biggest One Piece names. And now, you're going to see Japan's biggest phenomenon for yourselves. The One Piece podcast goes to Japan. Coming this March. We are Maji.
This is the manga recap for chapter 733, What the Soldier Wants. And let's start out here on the cover page. Stephen, can you explain what's going on here? I feel like I'm a little bit out of the cultural loop.
For the cover of Jump.
The cover of Jump.
Is actually, first of all, before we talk, I'm looking at the cover of the Viz version of Jump.
Yeah.
Is this also on the cover of the Japanese issue as well?
I remember seeing it on Facebook.
Or William hasn't, I think.
What does the Viz one look like?
It's like the Karuta, I think, is the cards where it's like an illustration and it has the hiragana in the corner. Does that?
Yeah, of the first letter. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you also have Luffy holding something, and
yes,
wearing a Hakuta?
Yes.
Okay, so it's the same one.
Okay, and so we have Luffy and Naruto and Toriko and Nisekoi on the cover of the English one.
Is that her name? It's Nisekoi? Is that just the person from
it's the name of the title. I don't think her... Because it says Ni. It starts with the Ni, but I don't think that's her name. Her name is Shitoge.
The Ni is for Nisekoi, just like Luffy's name isn't Wa.
Damn it, you beat me to it.
Damn it.
But yeah, these are...
Would Braveheart give up? Would Payback give up?
These are Karuta, which is a game that they play in Japan, where there's one of these cards for each of the hiragana, the characters that make the phonetic characters that make up the language. And like on each one, there's an illustration, and then on the back there is like it's almost like a haiku, but not really. But it's a short phrase that describes the picture on the front, and the one hiragana that's on the illustration is the start of that message. So like someone reads off one of the messages, and then all the cards are on the floor, and then all the players have to find it, and whoever puts their hand down on it first wins that card. And it looks like Luffy says manga mo anime mo zekkocho, which means manga and anime are both kicking ass, kind of. So
it's true.
There you go. Yep. And I think it's kind of a New Year's thing. It's like a very traditional bit of celebration. And while we're on the topic of Jump stuff in general, I just want to point out, since this is a good opportunity, if you've been thinking about subscribing to Viz's Shonen Jump, but you haven't already, or if it's time to renew, I just wanted to point out that there's an ad at the back of this issue that next week in Japan there's no issue. It's another combined issue, but there will be a special issue in the English Jump because they are about to start running the new manga from Takeshi Obata, who is the artist of Death Note and Bakuman and Hikaru no Go, which is All You Need Is Kill, which I believe is based off of a novel that is, I think Viz did translate it under their Haikasoru line. Under that, it's the same title, but it's also the basis for the new Tom Cruise movie. What is? Does anyone remember what the
something tomorrow or yes?
Yeah, Edge of Tomorrow or something like that.
Edge of Tomorrow, was it? No. Yeah, Edge of Tomorrow.
That's supposedly based off of that story. So it'll be really cool. I mean, obviously, anyone who's read Obata's manga loves his art style. He's definitely one of the best. So it'll look great, and it's probably be a pretty cool story as well. So that's another reason to subscribe if you haven't already.
Note though that the drawing is Obata's responsibility, yes. And the script or the story, the making of the story from the novel into manga form is by Takeuchi Ryosuke, who was in Jump in 2012 to have 2013 with his manga series that wasn't as popular but still a bit known, called Stars. So yeah.
Okay.
And that issue will include the first chapter of All You Need Is Kill and preview chapters of all of Obata's other works. So you can check that out, and you can see that at the second to last page of Jump, where they also have author comments. And for this chapter, Oda wrote, "Happy New Year. Last year I abused my body throughout the whole year, and I was cursed for overdoing it. I'm going to do it all over again this year."
God damn it.
Yeah, we're all thinking the same thing. Why?
So I feel I should point that out before we start, talking about the color spread.
Yeah.
Take that as you will.
Ed, you want to go through the color spread for this week?
Well, you have a snowman and a snowwoman with boobs.
Well, one boob.
No boobs.
Well, he's
up very quickly.
Sanji is fondling the other one as we speak.
No. Is he fondling? Yeah. He's offering direction. Yes.
Brooke is giving it a back rub.
I will point out here, Brooke's arms are way too short.
Yeah, they're a little short. You're right.
Yeah, he does look a little weird.
But I do ask the question about the Nami Snow Woman. Is it perverted or is it true to form?
Both.
I don't know. For Nami, it's kind of chunky. Like, I mean, God, look at that waist. That is just.
Oh, hey, and
Go, woman.
Anyone else notice the giant snowman in the background at the top?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's coming to get them. He's going to eat them. Grind their bones into flour.
Wow, you have a disturbing imagination, Ed.
That's the worst crossover ever. One Piece in the horror movie Jack Frost. Not the one with Michael Keaton.
I don't know if that's the worst crossover ever, but it's definitely not a good crossover.
Is it better than Santa's Sleigh starring Bill Goldberg?
Wrestling.
Yeah. So they're being helped by...
Are we playing the drinking game this week? Because
a good start.
Yeah.
Actually, we're off to a good start. That's two.
One small detail that I liked about this that is, oddly enough, it's only for two of the characters, but if you notice, Luffy and Sanji are wearing beanies, and Luffy says 01 and Sanji says 05, so it's kind of like a little carryover from the one where it's the illustration of them as adults and then as kids, where each is numbered according to their order.
Well, it's also remember the Battle Fruits 9 color spread? They were all numbered in that one too.
That's also true, yeah.
I didn't know that had a name.
Battle Fruits, that's what it's at. I mean, because it's on one of the calendars, so I see it at least for 2 months every year. So
Ed uses those calendars quite frequently.
He does, and they're nice calendars. They're
very nice, for good reason. Ed, I guess any final thoughts on the snowmen?
They're helped by foxes in pants.
Yeah, why are they wearing? Well, it's fine. They're wearing pants. Yeah,
It's cold.
yeah. Let's put on some tight shorts. Okay.
I don't like, but in regards to the whole snow woman boobs thing, at first I thought, oh, that's perverted, but then it's like, well, she does have breasts.
It's anatomically correct. You are correct.
Now, if it's like if you put pieces of coal there, you're going too far.
You don't say.
Does that mean that the male snowman is like those animals that has?
Well, have you seen Dumb and Dumber? Have you seen Dumb and Dumber?
Yes.
Yeah, like that's going too far.
Yeah.
Also, I would like to point out I like Brooks. It looks like a penguin hat.
Yeah, I wouldn't wear that hat, but
I thought you were gonna say you were gonna wear it. I'm like, bullshit. If so, you take a picture and it's gonna be your face.
I'd wear Luffy's hat or Sanji's because they're kind of generic-ish looking.
Well, come on, Shueisha, or whoever the hell makes merchandise.
I mean, it's already a little. No, it's not a little late. It's going to be 12 degrees tomorrow. Okay. What?
It's topical.
Topical. It is.
Not tropical. Topical.
It's the opposite of tropical. Okay. Ed is the one who starts us off.
Indeed.
Yeah.
There's a clash inside the Coliseum. Rebecca and Suleiman are going at it.
We find out his. Well, no, we actually knew his name, I guess.
Yeah, for a while.
Years ago,
Yeah. So, the spectators are cheering Suleiman on. Everyone wants Rebecca to die, and there's the giraffe head. I found him in the crowd there.
I forgot that was a running gag already. It's been a little while since we've had like a real Coliseum scene. I don't even remember what it's called. That's how you know.
So he is the hero of the Dias naval battle and was driven from his home for being a war criminal. And now he is basically, sounds like a hitman in the underworld, the criminal underworld. And basically the crowd's just cheering for him to kill Rebecca. That's it.
Indeed. And as we turn the page, we get a full-body portrait of Suleiman. As our announcer says, look at him. He's like, there's no life to him at all. He might as well be a ghost. He's just sort of standing there, imperious. And he says to Rebecca, yes, I killed them all for my homeland. You know, I turned into a war criminal for love of country. And you know, how does that make you feel? Since basically, as if it wasn't obvious, the entire country hates her. How can you even breathe here? Just feeling that hate from every direction. And Rebecca says, "Oh, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. I just want to live with Soldier." Who, as we know, is actually her father.
She doesn't know that.
Yeah, she doesn't know that.
No, that's not true. That's impossible.
No Simpsons reference. Good.
Star Wars.
It wouldn't surprise me if Simpsons made a reference to
Star Wars. We're getting very meta here, so why don't we continue?
Mm-hmm. So Gatz points out we're down to just around 30 survivors, including Rebecca, who just refuses to die. What is her problem? Think of the children. Please, Rebecca, just die for us. Meanwhile, another one goes down as Orlumbus is shown just like full uppercut, raising Agyo the Fighting Lion up into the air, who was apparently quite a terror in the Colosseum during his reign, but now he has fallen. And Orlumbus is described as adventurer and the commodore of the Yonta Maria fleet, which is, if anyone who has taken Japanese 101 knows,
it just dawned on me there.
Ichi ni sanshi, and then that's 1, 2, 3, 4, but then the other word for 4 is yon. Orlumbus, who, as we've described before, is a pun on Columbus. Christopher Columbus.
Oh God!
Sailed in the ships. Yep. What was it? The
Nina, the Pinta, and the
Santa Maria.
The Santa Maria.
Yeah. The Santa Maria.
Oh my God!
The Yonta Maria.
That's a great pun.
Yeah, it's a great dumb joke.
I did not catch it.
who's Christopher Columbus? I didn't realize that before.
Yeah, I didn't either. That's clever.
My dad would have if he totally read One Piece, which he doesn't, because he was born in the 50s. I do have to point out, I don't know if you guys sense this at all, but when I first saw Orlumbus, I immediately thought Brown Beard.
Yeah, he's like the heroic version of Brownbeard.
Right. Yeah.
The good version of Brown Beard.
If Brown Beard were strong.
I'm gonna name
When
you.
he looks in the
Brown.
mirror, when he looks in the mirror, that's what he sees.
So,
Steve, you're next.
yeah, on the next page, he throws down the lion who's defeated, and the crowd goes, "Oh, he's so tough! Way to go, Commodore!" And Gats continues with his possible winners of this round. It's like, will it be the odds maker's favorite? And we see Cavendish, the pirate, with a little gleam next to his cheek.
Ting!
Or the unexpected dark horse, Mummy, the sorcerer.
The mummy!
The mummy. I just picture this as like just a terrible gimmick, and this guy can't get over it. He's like, I'm the mummy.
And no one cares.
And I'm going to eat your brains. Like, I'm pretty sure that's zombies, not mummies.
Shut up!
Or is it the man in Damask? Damask. Arsonist. Who's waving his fingers. Sort of like Dellinger.
Menacingly.
Menacingly. Not like Dellinger, though. Dellinger is like, hey, you know. I guess
Just any excuse that had nothing to do with this.
it's manga recap, don't I? Spoilers, he's not in this chapter.
I like how Damask has like it's like he has a cannon on his mask or something because it's smoking. It makes me think of those like little monsters from Zelda that shoot the cannonballs out.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well, I know.
in the forest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's the
Yeah,
Deku
yeah.
scrubs. I don't know if like the Dekus are the same thing, but it kind of looks like Spondum's Mankind mask. But I was thinking more of a gas mask, but it could possibly shoot because I don't know why there'd be smoke coming out of it. But
Could be his breath.
Looks like those freaky things from that Doctor Who episode that was creepy.
get out of here, Jason.
Yeah, come on, Jason.
Who will have the glory of taking down King Riku's granddaughter, and also, you know, getting one step closer to winning the Flame Fruit? Let's not forget that.
They don't care anymore.
And as this panel fades off, Rebecca thinks to herself, or thinking of Soldier.
Inner monologue.
Where are you now? Please don't die. I don't need anything else. Just don't die. And what if he gets hurt? Okay, and then the shadow port beneath Dressrosa, and we get some Usopp going, what? We know it's Usopp because we see his face in the speech bubble. The soldier's already gone? I thought he was your captain. As we hear a Kathunk murmur. I'm pretty sure that's the slaves working continuously in the harbor. And Leo says, the captain has his own... I didn't read that properly. The captain has his own grand mission to undertake. He'll take down Doflamingo the moment Operation SOP succeeds. He's headed off to the palace with a few select tontadas. And I guess the rest of them yell out, good luck, Captain.
Good luck, Wiggum.
Let's us wish him luck, too. And as we get a nice panel, nice bird's eye panel of Usopp and the tontadas below him. Kind of
Yeah, I like that panel.
of the scale of these guys, even though we see him a lot on this page. It says, after all, we have the hero Usoland with us, so you could give us the orders for Operation SOP and the quest to knock out Sugar. And we get a rising
sparkling.
shock. Yeah, a rising shock face. Like this is like something out of like a fighter game, like this is a North Star arcade game that I never heard of till this weekend.
Yeah.
When they go like, I don't know, but instead of Usopp getting buffed up, he's freaking the hell out. He's like, I'm in charge of the most important step of this entire mission. What?
I have
That's
to have.
onomatopoeia. That's like.
No, that's what he says.
I could read that if I wanted to.
Thank you. Ed, can you just read out what he says? Because we need some Tontata voice from you today.
Well, which one?
At the top of the next page.
Oh, okay.
Leo, right? That's Leo?
That's Leo.
Yes.
This is where we are now. The middle is all dwarf witches.
When I read that, I'm like, what is he saying? Kind of have to, like, read it carefully. Dwarf witches. Okay, I got it.
You see that building in the distance that looks like a sea anemone? That's the officer's tower. It's where we'll find our target, Sugar.
Okay. I just really want to hear Ed say sea anemone. Sea anemone. Okay, so Leo shows, we get a big diagram of Leo pointing where they are now. So the entire port is a circle. I don't know how the ships get in. I'm not going to ask. I'm sure we'll get a more three-dimensional.
Well, actually, if you remember when they first came to Dressrosa, there were like the coast of the island,
a big
at least,
cliff?
where they had.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it was like a giant cliff. So it wouldn't surprise me if there was just like a tunnel somewhere.
That would make a lot more
Yeah,
sense.
it's like, how the fuck does Batman get to Wayne Manor? It's a big cave and all. Okay.
It's through a waterfall, as I recall. Anyway,
Yes.
so we get a big map with the sea anemone thing in the middle with Treble and Sugar. And you get a little shot of Sugar with the two, whatever candy or whatever that is that she's eating. Meanwhile, two dastardly, very stereotypical looking thugs notice something is going on and sneak behind and say, who's skeeving? That's skeeving off. Skiving? I've never heard that word before. Who's basically slacking off here.
And who's skydiving?
What was that
back
noise?
here?
And Usopp's face is priceless. I don't even know how to describe that.
It's like he's munching on his hat.
You think Usopp, after the time skip, wouldn't be so afraid after, almost being eaten alive every damn day?
Yeah, but what is he afraid of here? These guys are probably not. I guess he just doesn't want to get spotted.
I mean, look at that guy. He's out of shape.
Yeah, he's clearly a schmuck, as we find out in a few seconds. So he basically gives up, and meanwhile, Leo and one of the other Tontatas, I forgot his name, Rampo, it says right there. Rampo. I'm going to pronounce it with my terrible New York accent. I apologize.
I don't know. Maybe it's a Rambo joke, so that would work.
Oh, yeah. Maybe that's what I was thinking. Yeah, totally. So they attack the two of them, or actually, no, they are ready. Oh, no, they do it. They take the clothing off the two of them. Sorry, I'm trying to. And they call it a fairy attack, as we know the backstory with the fairies. And we go to the next page. William.
And on the next page, we see the two of them, above the now almost nude enemies and ready to strike. And is that a spear?
Yeah.
Lance? Yeah.
A lance.
They hit him with their
it's a
tails.
lance.
They hit him with their tails.
Yeah, they have a lance, but apparently they hit him with the tail with a kathwunk. I don't know. Ed, could you say that? See if that's if it's as adorable as I imagine it.
The
What?
Kathwunk?
No. The whole Tsuntara combat thing.
There's no R's in it, but
Yeah.
Ed, you could give it a try.
How combat? Tail hammer.
Yeah, okay.
It's a little more like Homestar Runner, but
Yeah, that sounds a lot like
And seeing this image of two small golf ball sized miniature people beating up two huge guys, you can see Usopp is pretty surprised, and the Tontara just drop like it's nothing.
Even Robin is amazed.
Yeah.
She's like, "What?"
That's a great panel.
Yes.
I love that panel. Also, like, Usopp's tongue is a little disturbing, but let's not get into that.
It's as long as his own nose. Come on.
Continue, Williams.
And yeah,
The less said about his tongue, the better, right?
Usopp Usopp notices that apparently they hit him so hard they're just in the ground. They're plants right now.
It's like something out of a Looney Tunes cartoon or something, like out of a Coyote and Roadrunner.
Yeah, I was actually thinking the same thing when I was reading it.
I think Bugs Bunny did similar things when like Elmer Fudd was trying to shoot down the hole, and he would just drag him down there.
Yeah, One Piece is like Looney Tunes because characters get shot in the face all the time and no one ever dies.
Yeah.
Wow, good point. Okay.
That's it. So after this beating up of two guys with no problem, they hand Usoland and Robinland the two costumes that'll render them completely, well, not invisible, but make them blend completely into the crowd. And what, Rampo? No. The Tontara says like, oh, by the way, that pretending to be scared of the guards just so we could hit him, perfect idea. And Usopp, yeah, that was obviously my thing. That's obviously what I was gonna do. But meanwhile, he's thinking, what? These little dudes are basically monsters. But then again, at least I won't have to fight. So that's good. And on the last panel, we see all the Tontaras following Usoland by actually leading him forward, just so he doesn't have to fight anymore. So, and I just want to say that the guy in the corner, the Tontara in the corner, I really love his design. So
Which
it makes
one?
me think like
The angry face.
No,
makes me think like with his really huge arm, makes me think like a wrestler type Popeye.
Oh yeah, the one on the left, yeah.
And also, I love how Usopp has to keep on. I think Usopp really loves the fact that their enemy is a little girl.
Yeah.
He says constantly throughout. And I do like the costume change though. For some reason, even though I don't think it's similar at all, Robin in this disguise reminds me a lot of her outfit in Cross Epic with the Dragon Ball character.
Yeah. I think,
and Usopp's kind of reminds me, even though he wasn't. It was Sanji and Roshi with the cowboy garb on, but that it reminded me of that too.
I'm glad it's Robin and Usopp actually going against Treble and Sugar, since you've got the intelligent. I'm going to go out on a limb and say probably the most intelligent members of the Straw Hats against probably the most intelligent members of Doflamingo's crew, because they're the head of the tactical division.
Yeah, except for Nami.
Yeah, Nami is pretty smart.
Nami is. Yeah, I'm leaving Nami out of this.
And Chopper's smart in
a different way. Yeah.
And
well, Frankie's a lot like Chopper.
But in a tactical and book smart way,
nice.
these two are.
It's a combination of like all four of those characters are all really kind of weird and non-traditional in their own ways. So that's I think kind of fun and exciting to look forward to.
Yeah.
And those are the guys that stole our uniforms and beat the shit out of us too.
We also found out that the Nolan family took down Neptunians, or as we know them as Sea Kings.
We knew that since the first chapter of the flashback when
right.
Not Cricket, Montblanc Nolan just dove in and just killed the Sea King.
Yeah.
He was like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, him and Usopp.
I'm gonna write a book. Or just, I'm gonna go write in my diary.
Ed.
Yes, so we have a diagram of the underground area, and we see, so it connects the palace to the House of Toys and the trading port, so they have to get to the lift. And the fact that there's an intruder in the House of Toys is being, read over the loudspeaker. But,
I don't think that's over the loudspeaker. I think someone's just saying, come on, we got to get in the elevator. There's someone who's invading, which is Frankie.
Okay, so it is Straw Hat Crew, as they have heard, and we see Thunder Soldier, Exposition Soldier. He comments that it is Frankie, who is battling with Senor Pink by the East Store. So,
this is the
who is that guy?
the Doflamingo crew talking amongst themselves.
Okay. So can we get a bonus for taking him out? It's like, yeah, how much? We would never really get that far.
Yeah, well, they do finish that conversation. Right. At least the bounty Frankie's worth.
Right, the hefty bounty, and they're going up the.
Also, that guy's wearing a panda hat. Is that one? Do I see that correct?
He's wearing like a foxy mask
and a reindeer hat.
The panda hat makes me think if anyone from California has seen Giants games, there's all those people that wear the Kung Fu Panda hats because there's a guy whose nickname is Kung Fu Panda. That just makes me think of that.
Okay.
That's a California joke. That's a West Coast joke.
Well, we do enough East Coast jokes, so we need a few West Coaster jokes there.
So, and there's you see Thunder Soldier's thoughts from inside the box. He says, at this rate, we'll only bounce between the House of Toys and Underground, so we have to take over the lift. Wait. Yeah.
He wants to go to the palace.
Right. So it's like, he pops out. I control the lift now. He must have like, I don't think he realizes that. I don't think that they're going to agree with his assessment of the situation here. And then one of them recognizes him as the Thunder Soldier, and he's like, what the hell are you doing in here? And that's the end of that page.
Steven.
He immediately opens fire on the soldier, and the soldier quickly dodges. It looks like he kind of misses him by a mile there, and this guy's like, what? He dodged? And the soldier says, too slow. And then he basically just swings his little gun like a baseball bat and just clobbers the guy on the back of the head. And then the other guards are sort of mobilizing. This guy has his sword, and he tries to swing, and he misses as well. The soldier just leaps out of the way and then clocks that guy too slow. And this transitions us, nice transition, into a mini flashback where he is training Rebecca, and he's clearly given her a good whipping too. She's got a big old bump on her head. To which she's, it's child abuse. And it's kind of funny because the term in Japanese is DV, which is the domestic violence abbreviation, and of course, domestic violence that would be like within a family, but Rebecca doesn't actually realize how appropriate that is. Because he is, of course, her father. But anyways, he says,
no. Thank you, Steve.
I don't want to hit you. You have to dodge. And she says, well, then just stop. If you're going to hit me, like, don't actually hit me. And he says, well, you're not going to get any better unless you feel that sense of danger. You have to focus. A human's instincts can be so much stronger. You have to call upon them. You have to pull them out and trust in your human power. And she's like, "Oh, you're a toy. You're not a human. Don't get smart with me." He just whacks her again. That was clearly not training. That was some good old spanking, taking care of a mischievous child.
That'd be kind of awkward, though, if he actually spanked her. Like, this is really weird, Mr. Toy. If you knew who I was, it would make a lot of sense.
No! That's impossible. Okay, Steve.
And as time moves on, I guess at one point, Rebecca yells out, I don't want to learn about fighting anymore, and throws down her fighting stick.
It's not a pipe. I want everyone to notice it's not a pipe. Okay.
And it's pouring now, and they're both drenched. And the great shot of Thunder Soldier right here, just staring, just looking, kind of just like a moment, kind of like takes a second to respond to that. And you're kind of thinking like, oh, yeah, it's like he's not going to like this. But he says, and then Rebecca just shouts out, why can't you always keep me safe, soldier? And she starts to cry. And then Thunder Soldier, we don't see his eyes anymore, and a heavy shadow, so we know this is serious talk. And he says, I am a toy. With enough rain and wind, I will rust solid. And Rebecca goes like, Yeah, no dialogue, but she's like taken back by that. And as this flashback ends, we get a little bit more dialogue. Says, "I do not know when I will reach my limit. Stand, Rebecca."
How long do you think this flashback will be in the anime? Half an
Four
episode?
episodes.
At least half an episode?
Get up, you son of a bitch, because Thunder Soldier loves you.
Aw.
Oh, technically, Rebecca would not be a son of a bitch. And he continues to think about Rebecca. Says, "Be strong." Well, that's dialogue that he still says there, carrying over. And Thunder Soldier blocks a weapon sword with his rifle. That's a strong rifle. Says, "My body is not meant for fighting. After all, toys are built to fall apart by the time a child becomes an adult, aren't they?" And
I think that's another one of his like hat flashback lines, because it's like it sort of looks like the brim of his hat, the shape of the bubble.
oh wow, I never really noticed this.
Yeah, he's been taking advantage of that.
I think I hopefully this is Oda's intent, because it's very creative. I know with manga you can't always. I know the Shonen Jump guys can't always get away with like some creative acts of storytelling, because they gotta get through chapters every week. But if this is another intent, because he's done this in the past, but I didn't realize this one. But yeah, that could be it. It's really cool. And then again, it could have also been maybe he drew like a slightly bigger bubble, and it's like, it kind of looks like his hat. It's like, oh, well, let me just fix it then. And also, the creaking sound his arm is making, I don't know if that's just because he's fighting against this guy, or it means he's kind of,
Means he needs his oil can.
Yeah, I think it's just meant to accentuate.
It's
It's to accentuate his point that he's making there, that toys are meant to fall apart.
Mm-hmm. So then he whacks this guy in the gut and continues his exposition.
Monologue,
His exposition inside his mind. Says, "Forgive me, Rebecca. Your poor clumsy father can teach you nothing but strength." As he's, I don't know if he's huffing and puffing. He's a toy. He doesn't have lungs. But he's still holding his rifle, and
it might be one of the people he knocked on the ground who were huffing.
And the cannon father just say, "Whoa! I never knew he was so tough." It's like, why are you doing this anyway? You're just a toy. What do you want? And he says, "I want a peaceful country where my child could live in happiness." And as he goes for another swing of his rifle, more inner dialogue, "And I'll give my life to make it happen." And he yells, "I'm taking Dressrosa back for the Riku dynasty." And they're like, "King Riku, what?"
It's really good exposition. I like all of that a lot.
And a bit of dramatic irony there, that he's ready to give up his life to make his child live in happiness when all she wants is to live with him.
That's tragic irony. Tragic irony.
Yes.
What a dilemma.
Okay, let's move on to the Colosseum. The Colosseum. Wow. It's anyway. Something.
Another giraffe toy on this page.
Oh, there is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, in the previous page or this one?
No, next to where it says "What just happened."
Okay. Well, that's what the entire crowd is asking. What just happened? And we see Bartolomeo and Mr. Cravat standing there. And Bartolomeo says, "What? I didn't see anything. What just happened? It was so fast." Mr. Cravat, dressed as Lucy, said, and I didn't notice that was him at first, saying, I've heard the rumors, but what? And what's the announcer's name again? We could never remember his name. Gats. Yeah. How many times have we asked that? He also
start calling him Gantz from now on.
That's what I want to call him. Why don't we just call him Gantz?
So Gantz. Datsu 2.
Gadatsu 2 / Gans / Gats says, "Wow, they all got
Nickelodeon Gak
/ Guts." I know that isn't quite right, but we're in the Nickelodeon thing.
Global Guts.
Anyway, he says that, "Wow, I don't believe this. They're all knocked out." So you find out all the survivors in Block D have all fell none are left standing. We get a shot. I mean, we see Columbus or Lumbus.
This doesn't actually end the thing, does it?
No,
I mean, they have to knock off the platform.
No, if you're all knocked out, it's whoever is left standing, which we'll find out. So we see Orlumbus is knocked down. We see Suleiman is knocked down. And the next, a little bit lower, we see Rebecca. We got Mummy. Who is that?
Mummy.
The mummy.
Who is that in the bottom left of that little three?
Damask.
That is Damask.
Is that the mask?
Spondon.
Yeah.
I'm guessing it was Damask. Then we see Cavendish knocked down. We see, although his face is covered. No, his face isn't covered. He's just knocked out. That was his hat. It was thrown aside. I'm sorry, his hat was thrown aside.
How long did you think his neck was?
Then we see
Giraffe.
it's one piece. It's one piece. Their necks get pretty
turned
big.
into a giraffe toy.
Anyway, Orlumbus and Suleiman knocked down, but then Gan / Nickelodeon Guts / whatever we're calling him sees in the distance that someone is rising to their feet, but they're in the fog, and I can't tell until next week or 2 weeks from now.
Oh man,
2 weeks from now.
2 weeks.
Ah, you ass.
Steve has problems with this ending.
It's the typical teaser.
This is a very typical cliffhanger, yet incredibly effective. Cause who the hell is it? It's very
How
annoying.
certain are we that this is an act of hockey?
I don't know.
I don't think it
seems to be
is.
filming from the mouth.
Well, also Mr. Cravat's comment saying he's heard rumors. First off, I mean, we were talking a little bit before we started. I definitely think it's someone who was in the ring, maybe even one of the people we've seen in this last panel here who get up. Although that would make a little less sense. But the fact that they say someone is rising to their feet, I think, means that they were knocked down. So it's one of the people who were knocked down, but which person?
Yeah. So is it like someone did it to every, like, it's not whoever's rising is not the person who used the hockey, because why would they have fallen down? So does that mean like someone else in the Coliseum?
I don't think it's hockey. I don't know why I don't think it's hockey. I have no real reason to think it's not hockey.
They're not filming from the mouth, which is what usually happens.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm. And one thing I ask is this smoke, or like, what is this in the background of the big panel? Is that just dust from the fighting? Because I don't think we've ever really seen that.
It does. When it does look on the.
It looks like fire.
On the.
It looks
on the left.
It's like fire.
Yeah.
Well, then if it's fire, did someone steal the flame fruit? And then I think the answer to that would be Diamante, because Doflamingo did say, take care of things, didn't he? And that would really throw things into a complete mess.
He's not supposed to be involved in the tournament till later. I don't understand why he'd...
Well, things are getting fucked up at the moment, pardon my language, but it's clear
what is Gans going to say? And Diamante just jumped in and knocked everyone out, and we're going to allow it.
What are they going to do?
We're going to allow it.
And he stole the prize that everyone's fighting for.
Coliseum screw job.
I do want to say I like the literary device used between we had Thunder Soldier's part and then this part where you have Thunder Soldier saying, you have to stand up again, be strong, stand, Rebecca, which really makes me think the person who does stand up from this, it has to be Rebecca, because that would be such a great literary parallel.
Oh, I didn't really connect that. That's a good callback, Zach. But it's a bigger mystery to who the hell did this. Like I'm thinking that this smoke is not just that's all the dust that kicked up.
Well, I mean, what do you think, Stephen? Well, you might know what happens next, but
well, no, actually, I don't.
Perfect.
But the one thing that I wanted to point out here is the Mr. Cravat line here, where he says, "I've heard the rumors," but that is. I just want to point out how completely vague that is, and you could take that in a number of different ways, because it could just be something as simple as, if it is hockey. And someone knocks by, it's like, oh, I've heard the rumors of this hockey thing, but I've never seen it, in person. Which
but I kind of doubt that, yeah.
Yeah, which I think is kind of hard to swallow, just because it seems to be such an ever-present, element to the series at this point.
I mean, he's been with the Revolutionaries, some of the strongest people in the world. So.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure, and I'm also certain that Sabo probably knows one form of hockey.
Right.
Mr. Cravat.
Oops.
But then that
spoilers.
that
in case you
raises the
skipped 2
question.
chapters ago. I just didn't want to read that
raises
chapter.
the question.
Steven.
That raises the question: is he referring to like whoever used it? Is it like, oh, I've heard the rumors that so and so could do this, or is it, if it's not hockey and it's some other power? Like, is he saying, oh yeah, I've heard about this as well? Like, there's just so many. There isn't really a whole lot of hint material that you can take away from that, but it is tantalizing, that's for sure.
I think this has definitely brought my attention back to the Coliseum a little bit. I mean, I'm going to be honest, I cared very little about this. A little bit about this fight, but in comparison to everything else, it was probably at near the bottom of the list. But now I'm very curious, and we have to wait 2 weeks to figure out.
Should we talk about what the Tontadas and Usopp have been doing this episode?
Sure.
Yeah. There wasn't much done with them. I mean, they're just sort of moving from one place to another. But I think the whole way that they fight and the way that they work together is very funny, and I want to see more of it. But that's sort of. I mean, they're kind of they're acting the way we expect them to, and I think it's very funny.
I did like the fact that you said sea anemone. Again, I'll say that was fantastic.
I do wonder if this means that like Usopp will actually do any fighting of his own, or if he will like successfully convince the Tontadas to do everything for him, which would be great. Like, I'm imagining him like doing these great attacks, and he just has little Tontadas like behind his hands and feet, like making him punch the guys and stuff.
Maybe he could shoot the Tontadas with his slingshot.
Ooh.
Oh, I just feel this is going to be Alabasta all over again, with Usopp just using his wits to fool his enemies into thinking he beat him. Like with the, what was it, 5-ton hammer?
Yeah.
Yeah, but now instead of a 5-ton hammer, he's going to use a thing with similar impact, but in the form of a Tontara.
Well, he's literally scared with. I mean, I ruined my punchline. He's literally tasked with scaring someone, which is something that Usopp has actually had some experience with.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm interested to see.
Not only does he have to use his wits to fool someone else, but he also has to do it because he's terrified of the Tontadas finding out that he's not a total badass.
Yeah, but he is kind of a badass at this point. That's the kind of thing. I think Usopp is underselling himself a lot more than he used to. Like, I think in the first half of the series,
he used to suck.
He used to, well, I mean, he was a great character, but he had sucky powers, totally, yes.
Yeah, we'll talk about this in the Toonami recap later.
Okay. Any final thoughts, what you thought of the chapter overall? William, since we've been talking over you, I feel.
Just, there's one of the scenes, because there were a lot of scenes I really liked, like you said, with the whole Rebecca stands, be strong, you're much stronger than this, and then the end scene. I really like that scene as well. But what I'm actually waiting to see in the anime, which is a first for me, is the whole scene with all the bad guys going to the elevator, like, all talking about how much money they're gonna get, and then when they're really like all talking about, oh god, we're gonna get lots of money, dude. Yeah, oh, that's so awesome. And then the elevator starts moving, and everyone's just quiet. I just want to hear the
and
whole.
Then they get beat up by a little toy.
I just want the whole like. Everyone's really loud, and then when the elevator starts moving, you get whole either no sounds, but I would prefer like the whole cliche elevator song.
Yeah, that would be perfect. To be fair, Steven, though, that toy does have a bounty, I believe.
He needs a Muzak version of the girl from Ipanema. That's the classic elevator music.
Any other thoughts on the chapter? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I thought it was okay. There wasn't a whole lot that happened, and normally it's not a big deal if that, if there's the occasional quiet chapter, but I think it was the timing was unfortunate because it's the end of the year, and so they're you just have these longer breaks. It's
Yeah, I agree with that. I think I enjoyed it a lot more reading it with you guys and noticed a lot more subtleties that make it a little more enjoyable. But I do agree, we had a 2-week break before this and a 2-week break or 1 week break after this. Been 2 weeks between chapters before and after this, so it's a little bit annoying. But I'm excited for next week. You guys ready for the next segment?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is the Toonami recap for episode 235, Big Fight Under the Moon. The pirate flag flutters with sorrow.
This is probably one of my favorite episodes, and it's all just talking, which is fine with me.
Yeah, it's really the most emotionally fraught of all the One Piece episodes. I didn't even need to take notes to talk about this one. This is just that good of an episode where it sort of starts with the Usopp sort of being treated on the ship and doing the slow realization of what's going on in this episode is really, really great.
I actually did take notes because there are little things that I didn't notice because I've seen this episode a lot in both languages. I think I've seen this in English at least once or twice. I've seen this in Japanese at least 5-6 times, especially the next one I've seen. Oh God, that episode I've seen so many times. Okay, so yeah, we start out with Usopp kind of recovering, and he just there was a very funny scene where he's just grabbing Zoro's leg, crying, "Oh, I'm sorry," and Zoro's like, "I don't, stop touching me," basically. Zoro does not talk as much as I thought he did in this episode too, because we talk about it a lot. Zoro really coming together as the first mate here. Out of this storyline, and yet his stoic silence probably says more than anything because the rest of the crew is going nuts the whole episode. Chopper, Nami, and Sanji especially.
It's kind of unfair that Usopp wasn't conscious for when they had this whole conversation, but he has to understand that Luffy is the captain. So it really isn't. Yeah, you can't not go along with you can't undermine the captain if you're going to be a member of the crew.
Luffy's also very bad at breaking bad news. It's like, don't worry, we're going to get a new boat.
He said it with a smile, which Usopp totally interpreted the wrong way.
Yeah.
I like that subtlety. You don't get that a lot in shonen series, like those little... There's a lot... This is a very real conversation, I feel like. I've definitely had these kind of incidences where, you misinterpret what someone says and it gets blown way out of proportion and turns into something, there was what you see here is that there was clearly a deeper divide that existed here for a long period of time beforehand, and this opportunity really brought it out. Usopp kind of felt insecure in his position, and you kind of see that come out. At the beginning, though, Usopp... I don't know whether to find this funny or sad. It's like, look at what you're saying, Luffy. Look how upset it's making Chopper. And Chopper...
You're making Chopper cry.
Chopper, wasn't... Chopper always is about to cry, first off. Second off, he was okay. He was kind of just standing in the background. And then, as Luffy says, no, we're going to have to... we have to get a new ship. It can't be repaired. And I never really completely got the idea of the waves and rocks kind of stopping or covering.
Well, it's to show, it's to cut the tension because the silence is so tense that a crashing wave is that's what breaks it, and I really appreciate that. I mean, Zach, you probably paid closer attention to this than I did, but what was sort of the atmosphere of the music in this episode? Yeah,
I think the best part of this episode, and I was listening to, for those who are Breaking Bad fans, Vince Gilligan talked a little bit, the creator of the show, how, and we've talked about it in this show as well, how no music can sometimes bring a lot more effect than having music constantly in the background. And there is no episode that I think takes more advantage of having no music than this one. You actually, I just got new headphones because my old ones broke, and you could hear the waves consistently crashing onto the boat in the background, which I thought was a really interesting reminder kind of what the fight is over, what this is all about. And not just that, when the music does come in, it's the super dramatic, super important music, and the super serious music that you would expect. So very good choices when it did come in, and very good choices when it wasn't there.
I agree.
And we came back from the commercial break, and it comes right into, that's like the first time we really hit. That's the first time I wrote anything about the music. And then we find out, and we find out that this argument is a lot more, as I was hinting to, and this is, I think, my strongest argument for not using Nakama, and I wrote it down. Nami says, "Usopp is not just a crew member; he's one of our friends too. Remember?" And perfect line to just describe how, it's two different things. Nakama is not this all, encompassing word that we can never understand. I really like that translation choice, personally. But Ed, thoughts on the second half, which takes a much darker turn, I guess?
I'm not sure. I mean, I thought the entire episode was pretty dark.
That's true. It gets even darker in the second half.
Yeah. Sanji kicks Luffy through a table, basically. But that's not the important thing that happens. The important thing that happens is that Usopp leaves the crew. I mean, it's really the only logical thing that can happen when you're unwilling to follow the crew members or the captain's rules anymore.
Exactly.
It's he's had this sort of doubt about him, which we've felt for some time about being the weak one. Nami and Robin are relatively weak as well, but they make it for it with intelligence, and it's not something that he
and a
sees.
fruit ability.
Well, Robin does. Nami doesn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just he has to overcome that in himself, and that's sort of the story of Usopp for like the next two sagas. Really, is him discovering his self-esteem and rejoining, and getting back to get the crew. So.
I thought what was really interesting here, I talked a little bit about with Zoro, but you see Sanji is not kind of that right-hand man to Luffy. I mean, he does literally kick some sense into Luffy.
Luffy thanks him for it. He says, like, yeah, I was getting out of hand there, but, you're telling the truth.
At the same time, Zoro knows not to go back for Usopp. But Sanji does. He's with Chopper and Nami the entire time saying, no, don't do this. Rethink what you're doing. This isn't
Zoro has, and we know this because it's a lot more evident later in this arc and in the series. Zoro is a lot about tough love.
That's true.
And he's kind of more, I think, when it comes to following a captain and being part of a crew, he's by the book. And definitely you're going to hear that a lot. In the next episode in the rest of this arc. I should also mention that with the Sanji moment, it's been brought up a couple times. Not bring it up just because I like Sanji, but like the moment when Sanji gets involved, it's a very unsettling feeling.
Yeah,
it then invokes, because Sanji first he's kind of all right, knock it off, and then when Luffy's about to say what he can't take back. Sanji kicks him, and Sanji's pissed, and not pissed the way Sanji normally.
Well, I also think
you guys are eating the food. It's more, it's legit pissed, and it's really unsettling, and it's a feeling you've never experienced before watching One Piece till now.
I think there's a difference between some of the crew members and how they relate to Luffy, in that some of the crew members, Luffy literally saved their lives. He literally saved Robin's life, Nami's life, and Zoro's life. Sanji, Usopp, and Chopper sort of chose to go out to sea with him and to partake in the adventure, but Luffy didn't save their life. He didn't save their life like that. And maybe since Zoro was the first one, and he's like sort of this big tough guy, but Luffy literally saved his life. That I think maybe he relates to Luffy differently than some of the other crew do.
So
going with this.
Afterwards, we have Usopp. He goes away, and I like at the beginning, he's like, look, you're making Chopper upset. You're making him cry. And then he goes around and makes Chopper cry by saying, I'm not a crew member anymore. Get out.
I'm not your friend anymore.
I'm not your friend anymore, which is way worse. And I wrote, you dissed out Chopper.
Which
now
I think
you've
is
gone
a lot
too far.
more relatable than I'm not your Nakama anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're sticking with that argument that Nakama makes no sense.
If we're going to dub things in English, we need to use words in English that have meaning in English.
Right.
Otherwise, people who speak English won't know what the fuck we're talking about.
Hate is going to hate.
And the duel begins. We have the standoff at the very end.
Which looks sick in the anime.
Oh,
I think the manga, there was nothing in the background. It was just the figure, two figures and the smoke,
the white,
white. But in the manga, you get the shot of Water 7 in the back. It's so sick.
It looks fantastic. I mean, considering how little action happens in this episode, the animation
It's all about drama, though.
Yeah.
And the drama is just as impacting as any action in One Piece.
And it's all about the acting in this, and I do want to take a moment to talk about the English performance, since we actually haven't done that with this. And I thought they did an incredible job.
We did talk about
the Usopp. Oh, we have, yeah. It's been a while, though. I think I wasn't here. Maybe that's why.
That might be, yeah.
That might be the case. But, oh, no, yeah, I wasn't. I think I was listening to the podcast about it. But Sonny Strait especially, and Eric Vale, did a really amazing job.
Really, everyone did really good, but
it's like standout, really knows. Colleen, like a completely different side of Luffy. Colleen, obviously.
Colleen, Strait, and Vale, they really took their characters in a new direction that we've never seen before. And
at the end, Brina had the super cute, super sad Chopper.
And Lucy's really good in this too, because she's very distressed during all this. She's she's one of the only, she's angry too, but she's really distressed because she's really trying to pick up the pieces here, and it just can't be done. Well, everyone is awesome in this episode.
Nami's all about order, keeping things together, and she's really seeing things fall apart here. In addition, with Robin, I think she even mentions in her monologue, what are we gonna do? The crew is falling apart, which is what the reader or watcher is also thinking. So it's I'm sure the reader or watcher would do the same thing as Nami. It's like, what are you doing? This is stupid. Just forget about it. But that's not how real fights in real life go. They go like this, actually. It's no, I thought the acting was really, really superb. And Chris Sabat especially, very good job. You didn't say a single word.
You might have what it takes, Chris Sabat.
Yeah, any final thoughts? I forgot how much I love this preamble to the fight.
These are two of the best episodes of One Piece you'll ever see.
Yeah, but it's probably the best episode with no action. The only action was Sanji kicking Luffy through a table.
Mm-hmm. And maybe Usopp grabbing Luffy by the shirt.
I think this shows, though, how different One Piece is from the normal shonen. And it's something I would point to for someone.
I'll argue with that, Zach, because you act like shows like Naruto and Bleach can't get dramatic, and they definitely do. But I think with One Piece, you wouldn't expect it because it's been such a adventurous and lovable show, and all about camaraderie. You weren't expecting it to hit the fan to this extent.
You expect them to fight enemies. You don't expect them to fight themselves.
Okay, so there are no ratings since One Piece has not been on in a long time. So we'll go through those next week. One Piece trended worldwide and in the United States. Keep that up. Do not miss One Piece every Saturday night at 1 a.m. on Adult Swim, Cartoon Network. Adult Swim is the late night version of Cartoon Network, for those who don't know. And you could also watch it at Toonami.com if you miss it or DVR it. Just watch it at some point in time through legal means.
And as always, you can always buy these DVDs. I think the Voyage sets are still available for most of Season 4.
What are we up to now? This is Season 4, third Voyage?
I have it right here. It's, Voyage 3, episodes 230 to 241.
Okay. So you could pick that up as well. These are the best episodes, and I shouldn't say best. These are some of my personal favorite episodes in One Piece. So it's great to see it on television in HD. So exciting. Okay, with that, let's get into the next segment. You guys ready?
How's it going, folks? You are listening to another Pieces of 8 segment, which we haven't done in quite a while.
It's been a little bit.
It has. For good reason, though, mainly because we've all been kind of busy. And with the holidays coming up, it's like, do I really want to spend more money right now when it's I should be spending for others?
Well, the problem is some of the coolest figures that I think we've seen since like we've started on are in this segment.
Yeah, they are. There's some really awesome things, some strange yet wonderful things too. It's almost like an Alice in Wonderland type thing going on. So we're gonna hit it off right with the WCF figures. Oh, I'm sorry. Before we do, just remember if you are listening to the AAC feed, listen for this little camera shutter. And that's when you know that you have a new picture of figures up, since this is a very heavily photo-heavy segment. So
yes.
If you're listening to the MP3 feed, we will have a link to the pictures up somewhere, probably in the show notes.
I think they'll be in the show notes, but AAC, it's always easier. You get to watch, and you take your iPod or your computer and you look right on it. iPod. Who uses it? I guess people still use iPods.
iPods, iPhones, smartphones, anything with a big screen that has video and picture capabilities.
Yes.
All right, here we go. First up, we have the WCF line History of Ace. Now, normally Chopper has his own line figure set. I think he's had like 6 or 7. And this is actually the first time they've ever done a solo character's like history of figure line that isn't Chopper. So we got some pretty nice Ace figures here. 2 of them that don't even actually have Ace in them. Well, I guess one.
Well, they're Ace related. One of them does. Yeah, one of them
kind of does, even though he's 6 feet under. Sorry, spoilers. But not really. But we got some really good ones here. Like we have Ace's appearance in Alabasta, on his little water skiff thing. The one where he's wearing a shirt, which is, I believe, I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, I can't remember when he wore that.
Yeah. Maybe that was also Alabasta. I don't know. Or what?
Island, was it?
I think that might have been when he was looking for Blackbeard.
Yeah, that's what I.
We got Ace, in his back-to-back pose with Luffy. Or
I just realized he does not like wearing shirts because there's only one. Barely even counts.
Well, when you work out like that,
yeah, I guess
kind of want to flaunt it.
Also, and you have fire. You don't want to burn up all your clothes.
Yeah, he's got a pretty hot bod, I guess. I guess.
God, that's
it is that episode, folks.
Fun.
It is that episode. Next up, we will go to the WCF Mega line, and here we have Whitebeard. I believe if you follow Greg, he just received one of these figures, or
I think he received every figure. Yeah, he has a lot.
It's super tall. I actually have the mega figure of the General Frankie or Frankie Shogun, and it is pretty big. How big are these? They're about like 7 inches tall. So compared to a WCF, they're almost double the size. You can't really see it here, but if you look at the very bottom of the box, you see all of the Whitebeard commanders standing next to Whitebeard. So there's a pretty decent height reference.
Now, I feel like his head is disproportionately much larger than his body.
Yeah,
I don't mind it, but it is.
Well, they all are kind of for this line. Yeah. And I believe this figure will come in 5 parts. So it'll have like the torso, the legs, the head, the coat, and then the base with the weapon as well. So some assembly is required, but that's kind of par for the course. Now, this next one, I believe, was showcased at Mega Hobby Expo last month, but they had more figures for it available here for Jump Festa, and it is my new favorite ever. They are coming out with a brand new Giga line. What's the difference between Mega and Giga, Dennis? Well, let me tell you.
You're talking to yourself, Dennis.
Well, that's my wallet talking to myself. This one is about 45 centimeters tall. It is huge. If you want to do the conversion, I believe it's over a foot tall. So we're going into like POP size.
Yeah.
As you can see, there are at least 3 boxes, least being the key word here. And sadly, I believe you have to get all those separately. Now, the reason being, if we go into the next photo, you can see those 3 right there at the very, very bottom. You have Frankie's head and feet, docking area that has his hands, and then part for his torso. Now, I don't know if they'll all come with those specific bases as well, but if they do, that'd be pretty cool. As you can see, there is it's probably going to be super squished here in the AAC feed, but there is a regular WCF and a Mega WCF, along with a Giga WCF comparison side by side. With this figure line, the reason why they're doing this is, as we go on to the next photo, close up of that last shot, you can fit WCF figures inside the Giga.
That's really cool.
Holy crap. I'm very surprised by this. Like, I thought, like, oh, it's just like the Mega. No, this is not the Mega. This is not what I have, and now I want it. Damn it.
That's really cool.
And for my favorite reason for getting this is going to be one expensive set if you want to collect them all. They are releasing a 6-figure line Frankie Shogun Pirates set.
This is probably one of my favorite collections ever, just because of the juxtaposition of reactions.
Seriously.
They just literally made Nami and Robin normally. They threw it in there. That's all they had to do.
Pretty much. I think they just added, I believe those are the Punk Hazard attire that they're wearing.
Yeah,
and
looks like it that way.
With Luffy, Usopp, and Chopper, they wear the same thing all the time, so it doesn't really matter.
That's also true.
But yeah, this is one of my new favorite leases that is coming out. Highly surprised by this. I can't wait to hopefully find this somewhere at a convention near me.
And you get Frankie with the pompadour back.
Yeah.
Yeah, think about
awesome.
that. Yep.
Who doesn't love Frankie with the pompadour?
You can't not like that.
Yeah.
Don't get confused by the double negatives.
Now let's go on to the Banpresto Figure Coliseum line.
Do we have to go to the saddest thing ever as the first?
Well, it's more of, this is one of the, we're going actually in chronological order because they're actually releasing these things around the random history of One Piece figures. So
for those who can't see, it is literally the saddest chopper on the face of the earth.
This is one of the 2 saddest chopper figures. So here we go.
Oh yeah, the worst one is the mushroom one.
Yeah, that one was that was awful. Didn't someone give that to Brina?
Yeah, I think Jason. Good
job.
Sounds like Jason.
Good job. Here we have Chopper crying. I don't know how this is a Coliseum figure. How is he supposed to be battle ready when he has tears swelling up in his eyes?
It's a good question.
Oh, but it is adorable. Let's move on, shall we?
Yeah, please.
Here we have Sindri holding some flan, apparently. I'm surprised.
I forgot she was a character.
I'm surprised she's not holding plates to throw at people.
Yeah, I mean, she's not throwing plates at people. That should be surprising for everyone involved.
Well, actually, Zach, you have the Coliseum figure of Zoro. Do you want to go into detail on like how tall it is? Because it's a very sizable figure. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember the names of the different lines, but yeah, I got it as a gift in Japan. It's like 9 inches, 8 inches, right? Yeah, that's about right.
It's a very good detailed. Very good detail too. And we got a lot more coming out from this line here. Let's stick with Thriller Bark and let's go with this awesome Nightmare Luffy figure.
Is this through the same collection?
Through the same collection, yep.
Looks great. I'm really impressed by that.
I don't know if it's going to be the same scale size or if it's going to be slightly bigger. I can't really tell.
You have the small straw hat, which is a nice touch.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be the same size as the actual Coliseum figure. So they're not going to be in scale with each other, but they are still going to be highly detailed. This is probably the second big Nightmare Luffy figure I've seen. The first one being an Ichiban Kuji. I know they've made little tiny Nightmare Luffy figures in the past.
This one's creepy in how detailed it is, which I guess is what it's supposed to be.
Yeah. He almost looks like, I don't know if you're familiar with regular comic books, but he almost looks like Solomon Grundy from DC Comics.
Oh, yeah, no, I see it.
Okay. Let's go with more big guys in weird colors. Here we have Sengoku.
Is this through the same line also?
All through the same line, yep.
Oh, wow. I like this line. I'm thoroughly impressed by this line. It's also a little creepily detailed.
Yeah.
It's good.
I think it's also pretty affordable, especially compared to POPs. What isn't, right?
Yeah. Well, considering it's all gold, I'm a little surprised, right? That's what it is. It's pure gold, right?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yes, it's solid not solid. 100 proof 24 karat gold. Yes.
And it's totally not just painted that way.
No. Not gold leaf paint you can buy at your local hobby store. Not at all.
Don't ruin it for me, Dennis.
Continuing the same line, I think Japan loves
Frankie.
yeah. I think he loves
or
Frankie,
General Frankie.
Frankie Shogun, what have you. They're coming out with a lot of merchandise for this.
Well, for good reason. I think it is something we should love.
It appeals to the mecha fan secretly in all of us as One Piece fans. Because when you think of pirates, you think of mecha.
Look, I think the one thing One Piece was missing up until this point was mech. And here we get it. Finally get it.
Yes. Continue on with my dream of more Tactics 15. Here we have Battle Frankie Shogun. General Frankie. Love it so much. We have 2 more figures in the lineup now. We'll go to more current things. Here we have a newly announced Kinemon for the Coliseum figures as well. He's got some pretty decent color. I'm not too sure about the pose myself, but you know.
I'm a big Kinemon fan, but it's an odd pose.
It is. We don't have too much Kinemon merchandise, so...
No, I hope to see more.
Yeah, maybe we'll get a POP of him down the line.
I'm definitely a big fan of him.
I think we will for that line at least.
Yeah.
We're bound
I guess he's not very, like, merchandisable. Maybe.
Yeah. Well, maybe not yet. Maybe fans want something, want him to do something more before they clamor for more merchandise.
I think fans definitely want what's coming next.
Yep. And next up, for the last line for this, it is the Coliseum figure of Law. Now, this, I believe, is early in the Dressrosa arc.
Very early. He gets rid of this immediately.
Yeah.
He wears it for like a day.
But I think it's in the current anime like filler part. So
because it takes place during that time. So
yeah, they're making quite a few figures of this. I feel like we'll see this as the next popular Law cosplay out there.
I don't know. I'm not a fan of this look compared to...
I'm not either, but in terms of ease of cosplay...
I mean, him with the mustache, probably the best one.
That one is awesome. And this just like t-shirt and like a almost feather boa, just a feathery collar.
Anything where he just looks really pissed off, I'm more of a fan of. Like, why do I have to do this? That kind of look.
That's so true. That hidden side that we saw on Punk Hazard was amazing.
Yes.
All right, let's move on to the Figuarts line. And we just have 2 standard issue ones. We'll go to the special ones right after. But first up is the newly announced Baby 5 figure.
This one's a nice one.
Here you see her transitioning with a gun already in her hand.
Or no, her hand is already
Her hand is a gun, rather.
Yeah. I know that's confusing.
I don't know what other outfits we'll have. It's funny because we have 2 kind of maid figures here. Like we have Sindri earlier. Now we have Baby 5.
What does that say about Oda?
Dressed up in full-on maid attire, pretty much. Maid attire with guns. But, fans of hers... I don't know.
I mean, are you a fan of Black Lagoon?
Actually haven't seen Black Lagoon, but I've heard great things. That is definitely on my queue to watch when I have time.
Well, for those who are listening who are obviously this kind of theme is very prevalent in that as well.
Nice. But yeah, she's a well-sculpted figure. The Figuart Zero line has been doing really well for the most part in terms of the sculpt and paint job that they've had. And, we get some figures that we never thought we'd probably see for a while, like especially all those Figuarts Zero for the Z movie that we had.
Yeah, definitely.
Next up, we have a battle version of Shanks. Not my favorite Shanks figure out there.
No. What happened to his arm? Oh, wait.
Well, I don't like the opaque cloud dust on the figure base. Along with his, there's too much brow there on his face sculpt.
And do we know his sword does whatever it's doing?
No,
like
it's just supposed to be a type of swinging motion. Like, there was a battle figure of Mihawk that had a similar blue streak going around. But
I don't know, it could work. I think it works better if it's like an elemental thing.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Totally agree. And yeah, I don't know. It looks like he's also trying to squat to do something else besides swing a sword. in that pose.
The next Shanks figure might be my favorite Shanks figure.
Next up, as a commemoration for the earlier 15th anniversary of One Piece, we had those figure arts lines that had some of the characters represented as animals. And as I believe Firecrouch mentioned before on a previous news segment, we got a bunch more revealed at this year's Jump Festa. So prior to Jump Festa actually airing, here we have Shanks and Law. And they are dressed as a lion and a snow leopard. So get your Apple OS X jokes in now.
Oh, I should have. Damn it.
Well, you can still.
Missed opportunity.
Shanks is a lion with the red mane. Assuming he only has 3 limbs as well. Because
yeah, probably.
Poor Shanks. Law apparently has, I don't know if leopards have 5 appendages for their paws.
Is he wearing pants? Well, none of them are wearing pants.
None of them are wearing pants, no.
Okay.
But Law does have the death tattoo on his paw, which I find kind of weird because...
Yes, it's funny.
I don't know if they actually have 5... I can't really call them fingers. So.
No, it's funny how the tattoos kind of fit the spots.
That's true.
Yeah, it actually makes sense.
Yeah, the death and the little heart tattoo in his chest does fit the spots pretty well. I'm gonna preemptive this as well too. This figure line is released very limitedly. So whereas the earlier Figure Art Zero ones we're talking about, they'll go for like 40, 50. These figures, because of their limited quantity when released in Japan, they retail for, I want to say 80, 90 before shipping. So all the resales of these are in the 100 to 300 digits with how low they go. I've never seen these at conventions except on display.
I haven't been to a lot recently, but yeah, I can imagine.
So here, next up, we have Luffy version 2. Also as a monkey.
OSX monkey.
Yeah. Let's get more OSX.
I got my OS joke.
That'll be the new one. We'll go from Maverick to Monkey.
I don't know why we haven't done Monkey yet.
But yes, Monkey D. Luffy as a monkey. It's the same. I believe it's the same one as earlier.
I think they just changed the pose, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Same thing with the next one, Zoro version 2.
I really like this one.
His closed eye looks more like he's winking. It's like, hey guys, I'm a tiger. Wink.
That sounds creepier than you think it to be.
I did notice they missed out on the opportunity to have the scars on his ankles, but that could just be stripes. I don't know.
Well, aren't they in the... Oh, no, they're in the front. I thought they were in the back for some reason.
They're kind of like on the side and front, but yeah. Well, at least they have the scar on his chest.
Yeah.
So that detail's pretty nice.
That one's important.
And now we come up with new lines, new characters as animals. So first up, we'll go with Z as an ox.
I really like this one. We talked a little bit about it last week, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
It's a really cool one.
Yeah, with the tree trunk as his mechanical arm.
Yeah, it's funny.
Because, I mean, what bull knows how to, what bull or ox knows how to work with machinery? Tell me. Tell me.
Well, at the same time, I'm not going to get into this.
Well, now we go to more of the Marines and continuing with Z or Zed, whatever you prefer. Here we have Garp. Also as a monkey.
If Luffy's a monkey, well, he's a gorilla.
Yeah, he is pretty much like a silverback.
Yeah.
The beard looks so strange.
Yeah, it fits though. I think it fits.
It does fit. Again, this is not a line I'm going to collect due to rarity and price.
I would if I could. There's few I would, and this one I would.
Also, I gotta admit, some of these are very ridiculous looking.
I don't know. I kind of like that in some of these. Some of them just look absurd, but most of them look cool, I think.
I'm not a fan of the next one, which we will have as... It is Borsalino, also known as Kizaru.
I don't know. I like this because I think Kizaru should look ridiculous, and this looks ridiculous.
The face kind of matches. The sunglasses look extremely ridiculous, but hilarious at the same time.
Yeah.
And
I don't know. I would definitely put this on my shelf.
I
say that.
just enjoy the hand on the hip pointing at you.
But it's a monkey, right? A yellow
He's like
monkey.
a sassy monkey right now.
He is. Well, that's what Kizaru is. He is a sassy monkey.
Next up, we have the current admiral, but in his our current fleet admiral rather, but in his regular admiral attire, Akainu. What is his rose getting pinned on? Because
Yeah, it's. I was gonna ask the same thing.
it's just floating.
He looks a lot nicer and cuter as a dog.
He does. He doesn't look as mean. They could have gone
Not that intimidated.
the worst ways where he looks almost feral. But
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't.
I'm glad. I think this is a bloodhound, which
Well, it's
kind of
supposed to be a red dog. I know.
Yeah.
it might be a bloodhound. Yeah,
kind of makes sense since Akaino's always out for blood.
he is. It's the red. It goes with the red thing.
I do also like that he's wearing gloves on his hands or his hand paws, what have
Of course. Yeah. His hand paws. Good job. That's what they're called. Hand paws.
you. Hand paws. And finally, for the admiral's line, I guess, well, former admiral Akainu, Aokiji / Kuzan. They're keeping up with the, he is a bird, a pheasant, I guess, in this. I don't really know what pheasants look like, but I will go with
Something
this.
like that.
Yeah. Something like this. He's got his little beanie and his little mini sunglasses. It's a nice looking figure. I kind of like this design out of the, I guess, what
The
used to
three?
be the three admirals. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. Pheasants are a hard thing, I would think, to make, and it works here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Totally does. Last lineup for this, we have what
This was a
else?
surprise.
Doflamingo as a flamingo.
It's not a stretch.
No, it's completely not a stretch. I guess his
It's
feather
creepy,
hands
the
are pointing out.
tongue coming out of the beak. I just
No, I think that's. Oh yeah. That totally is his
Yeah.
tongue. At first, I thought like, is he smoking? No, that's one of his feathers pointing.
yeah.
I do enjoy his fluffy feather pants on his, because he's wearing a belt, so I'm assuming he's also wearing pants.
Yeah, I think he's one of the few that are.
I'm really hoping he comes with that tree stump to sit on, because if he doesn't, that's just a wasted opportunity.
Agreed.
And for those paying attention to detail, this is the time skip version or 2 years later version of Doflamingo because of the dual points on his glasses.
I did not know that was a thing, but thanks.
And they're red and not purple. So yeah, this is things that I as a cosplayer like to notice. Okay, let's move on to the Portrait of Pirates figure line, which is probably what most of you are here for. So we will go with this was actually announced at the Mega Hobby Expo a month prior to the Jump Festa exhibit. So here we have Kaku. I'm surprised that they're doing more CP9, maybe with Funimation currently getting into that part on Toonami, along with their home video releases. Maybe they're finding renewed interest in these guys. So we'll see if anything comes out of it at all. But Kaku here looks, fairly par for the course. Mm-hmm. He also comes with replacement arms, so you can have him holding his two swords that he fights with as well. I don't know if he comes with a happier face, though. I kind of wish they made Galila version of Kaku.
I'm sure. Well, there's definitely that exists.
Yeah, that exists as a smaller figure, but I would like a higher detailed spec figure. But going on to other ones, here we have Momonosuke. Kind of small. I guess he'll be as small as Chopper. Surprisingly that we got Momonosuke before we got Kinemon.
I'm very surprised and disappointed, but yes.
Maybe the Japan fans like the kid more than the adult. Because, I don't know, Shota, he's cute.
That's true.
He lives out the fantasies of taking baths with Nami and Robin.
Okay. That might be it.
Yeah. And these were also showcased at, or revealed at Mega Hobby, but showcased more so at Jump Festa. Here we have a lot of the Dressrosa lineup. So we got a brand new Bellamy.
That's a nice one.
Creepy. Very creepy. I'm going to assume with those joints there for his arms that they are able to pose and maybe replaced with a different, different pose as well. So we'll see. Curious how the colors will come out, but yeah. Surprised we got a Bellamy figure, but I don't think that means we'll get a Sarkis one. So sorry, folks out there, if you're hoping.
I don't think anyone was.
Next up, we have Greg. Bartolomeo.
You'll get his name right
someday. Bartolomeo looks pretty par for the course. I don't know if they're going to have him with. I'm hoping they have him with a teary-eyed face. We need the fanboy face, right, Zach?
Yeah, like Eneru had the shocked Eneru face. We need him with the fanboy face.
We need fanboy face for Bartolomeo. Make it happen, Mega House.
I am happy they are making a figure for Bartolomeo.
I think Greg has to get this, and then someone's got to make a cosplay for Greg for this.
That's very complicated.
He has to do it. Or he can just do a ghetto one. Just get like a mohawk wig. Just open up a button-up shirt and you're set. Add some guy liner. We're fine. And next up, we also have Cavendish. Bartolomendish. That's Cavendish, guys. Also pretty standard looking. I'm curious to see what he'll look like with colors. Again, it's the trend of characters that wear their long coats over their shoulders instead of properly with their hands in their sleeves.
God, he could be a woman.
He could.
Look at that. It's Oda's like girl face. Almost exactly.
Yeah, this is definitely Oda stretching into the Bishonen territory, so to speak.
Yeah. It's new. It's interesting to see.
Mm-hmm. I'm hoping that when they get to him in the anime, he'll be as funny as I found him in the manga. So,
yeah.
We'll see about that.
Hopefully.
Next up, he was also announced at Mega Hobby, but he was in color in Jump Festa. Fleet Admiral Sengoku.
It's a nice looking figure.
Looks fantastic.
I did not realize how fake that seagull looked, but yes.
Well, yeah, with its wings bent that way, it's not going to be a real seagull.
That's a good point. I thought he just killed and taxidermied a seagull and put it at the top of his hat. I guess it was just a stuffed seagull of some sort.
When we were trying to make that costume for my fellow SK member Fritz, we were thinking of trying to find, was there a stuffed seagull we could look up? And the taxidermy for a stuffed seagull was huge. I forgot how big their wingspan actually is.
They're huge. Yeah. Seagulls are freaking enormous. If you ever go to the beach and see them, they're creepy big.
Greatly out of proportion to Sengoku's head. I'm hoping because they pictured
he might be a big guy.
That's true. He is bigger compared to actual One Piece size. So, what's awesome too is they had him standing next to the older version of Garp as well. So we're hoping that that's a hint that they are going to re-release Garp.
Cool.
So get your old man Marines out there, folks. Now we're going on.
This next one I'm most excited for.
Yeah, this was just announced at Jump Festa. This is actually a fan vote. The fans, Mega House took a poll and were like, what would you like to see? Fans voted for this. The disguised version of Trafalgar Law as seen in Dressrosa with mustache in tow. Now, since this is just a prototype, they're not going to have the tattoo painted on this yet, since it's just going to be an actual paint stencil and not an etch marking. Mm-hmm. So fret not, that will be there. He looks like he's about to sashay on the runway with his hips tilted to one side.
Yep.
I can now see RuPaul just look at Law and say, sashay away. For those
there's two types of fan service there.
I know. Got shirtless, hips tilted, walking the runway, catwalk Law, mustache in tow.
The mustache type and the other type.
I don't know if he'll be able to come with alternate heads, since that hood looks like it's going to be difficult to switch faces out.
Yeah.
You never know. And last up for the figures, we have Rebecca.
Very similar fan service here.
Mm-hmm.
without the mustache.
Why doesn't she have a mustache? I'm sure she'll come with her battle-ready helmet as well.
Yeah, I'd hope so.
I don't know if there's going to be any more poses with her hands, like will she be holding her sword differently, but it looks pretty good. We're getting to Dressrosa really fast. I'm a little sad that we didn't see any more Punk Hazard figures. Like I would have loved to have seen a Virgo, a Monet, or a Caesar. And like you and I talked about earlier, Zach, a Kinemon.
Yeah, well, Kinemon will show up. He's in both arcs. So.
That's true. Yeah. But will they give him his, his Yakuza suit, or will they give him his traditional samurai robe? I'm hoping for the former. The latter, sorry. The samurai.
The latter of what you said, but the former of what actually happened.
The former of what happened, yes. That's what I want.
Yes.
And that concludes this segment of Pieces of 8, all about, well, mostly about Jump Festa. Don't forget that Color Walk 6 is out now.
This is the review segment for One Piece Unlimited World Red. And Steven, you had a chance to play it. You want to tell us a little bit about it?
Yes, so I imported this game. This is the newest One Piece game. It's on the Nintendo 3DS. For those who don't recall this series, this is kind of a surprise that this came out. It kind of resurrected this older series that's been around for a few years that started with Unlimited Adventure on the Wii, and there was also Unlimited Cruise, which I believe came out in Europe but never came out in North America. And for those who never played them, they were kind of like the quintessential One Piece experience sort of thing. It was like you had the entire Straw Hat crew, you're on this strange island, and you're going around exploring, you're fighting guys, you're like sort of solving this mystery, and there's kind of like RPG elements, and there's boss fights where you fight all these old villains from the series, and it's just kind of, it's this all-around action adventure kind of thing. But anyone who played them also remembers they had this, the gameplay was all padded out with this like unbelievable amount of collecting stuff. Like in order to build things with Usopp or Frankie, you had to find all these ingredients, and you had to feed some of the ingredients to power up these crystals, and you just had to go back and forth all over the place, which was really kind of a bummer because otherwise they were fun games. And those were all, like I said, they were on the Wii. They released Unlimited Cruise on the 3DS at the very start of it. But it's been a while since any of these games came out, which made it kind of a surprise that they were releasing a new one, Unlimited World Red. And I think kind of in the spirit of bringing that back, they made a lot of changes to this particular game. And I have all the different categories of stuff here, so I'll kind of go through and explain what makes this game different and noteworthy. But as you'll find out as through my review, they changed a ton of things, and some of them are good and some of them are bad. And I felt like the entire experience, it was kind of like instead of when they say 2 steps forward, 1 step back, this kind of felt like 5 steps forward and 4 steps back. It's an odd game, but let me just get right into this. So starting off, first of all, in terms of like the gameplay style or the idea of the game, it's very clear that they took a lot of influence from Monster Hunter, which is like the big thing in Japanese video games. It's like in America, we have Call of Duty. In Japan, they have Monster Hunter, where it's like everything is based around these giant boss battles, and you play with your friends. You get like these parties. They were really big on the PSP for a while, where you could get 4 people together, like on your lunch break or whatever, and just go and fight a giant boss together. And there's kind of a lot of that. There's a big emphasis on the fighting and on multiplayer, which unfortunately I can't do because I just have my one 3DS here in America, where probably like a total of 10 people have a copy of this game. So unfortunately I can't really discuss that. But that was kind of like the selling feature of this game. It's kind of why they brought it back, was to change it and sort of get some of that Monster Hunter enthusiasm in this new installment to the series. So the visuals, the basic idea of this game is that you have this town. It's called Trans Town because it changes as you do. You can get your items and like develop new shops and things, and the town sort of changes as you build more stuff. And that's your home base. And as you leave the home base, you can select these different destinations, and they're all canon destinations from the series. So, you can go to Alabasta, you can go to Punk Hazard, like the fire side and the ice side. You can go to Skype, NES Lobby, all these really familiar locations. And I think it looks pretty nice. Like there's a lot of detail in them, and in some cases, I think they're even nicer than the levels from like Pirate Warriors. For example, like if you remember the NES Lobby stuff in Pirate Warriors, it's just kind of like these big open paths, and they have the typical NES Lobby, like the big buildings and the towers and stuff around the outside. But in this game, like it actually feels like you're sort of running through a town, like you're jumping on top of roofs, and you're going through these little courtyards and going under tunnels and stuff like that. And there's a lot of detail in them that are fun if you're a fan. There's a Fishman Island level, and you can go by Madame Charlie's fortune-telling place. You can go past the Crimin, the fashion shop for Papug, and all sorts of little details like that. It's almost like some kind of weird One Piece version of Disneyland or something. It's like, oh, I remember that. There are a bunch of story scenes that are animated, and those look pretty nice. But there are some weird things. Like, for example, even though it is on the Nintendo 3DS, there is no 3D function in this game. It only plays in 2D, which is kind of a bummer. I believe they did it for technical reasons because it allowed them to spend more processing power on the graphics. Because when you do run it in 3D, it is generating two separate images at the same time. So that is extra horsepower that they're not using. But it is a bit disappointing because it especially with the small resolution of the 3DS screens, you do miss out on some extra vibrancy there. So it's kind of a wash there. The controls, it plays very much like the older games, and so if you're familiar with them, that's all right. But it is, if you have been playing the Pirate Warriors series, it's a very different control scheme. It's a much slower battle system, and it is kind of, dumbed down is maybe a mean term to use, but like there are lots of things where there's the A button is like sort of your all-purpose action button. So when a guy is about to shoot you, it'll have a big prompt that says press A, and you can press A, and then you'll dodge the bullet, or you'll block them or counterattack, or it's a variety of things, but it's all from the same button, and so it kind of feels a little simplistic at times. But in general, it gets the job done. Now, the bosses, I think, are really fun. This is where the game really shines, because there's a great sense of scale to them. In Pirate Warriors, you're just in this little map, you're in this little square, and the other guy is with you, and maybe there's some fodder enemies, and it's basically just sort of like a one-on-one fight. But in this game, it actually sort of feel like classic video game boss fights. Like, for example, when you're fighting Caesar, like at some point he'll bust in with Smiley and like hop on top of his head, and then you have to dodge all these poison attacks, and then he'll come down eventually. When you're fighting Crocodile, he'll leap out of the battle arena and do the Desert Spada, and it will cut the battlefield in half, and so then you only have half the space to use, and it just feels like everything's really customized to this specific experience, and it does feel really fun. So I liked those a lot. But one of the problems is that when you are fighting, because this is a game that's kind of designed to be played with multiple people, and these boss fights are sort of the big draw to it. I don't know if they really balanced it that well for single player, because I often felt like, once you understand the pattern and you know what to do to beat them, it just takes a really long time. Like it does that thing where their health bar, first it's green or blue, and then when you knock it down all the way, then it becomes green, and then it goes to yellow, and then to red, and it just sort of feels like they're too long for the amount of content that's in them, and it got kind of boring after a while. And one of the other differences is that in the previous Unlimited games, you would play as one character at a time, but you had your entire Straw Hat crew sort of on call. So, oftentimes what I would do is I would start the battle using, like, say, Nami or Chopper or Robin or one of the kind of the weaker characters, and then they would get knocked out, and then I would switch to another tougher one, and then sort of go through them in order, so that when it was really time to do the big damage and get down to the end of the fight, I still had Luffy and Sanji and Zoro and Frankie and those guys ready to do the heavy damage. You can't do that in this game. You have AI partners, and you pick a team of 3 when you go to any level. And that's all that you get. You can't switch out your characters. You can switch between them just by pressing the bottom screen of the DS, but you can't just like have this full complement of characters in case you start getting knocked out, and that can be tough sometimes. But it does mean that the AI characters will distract the boss sometimes, so you can kind of sneak around behind them. So there's some things that are better and worse about that. The item system. So one of the really obnoxious things to me about the previous games was that the inventory had a limit, and you had to do so much collecting, but once you ran out of your limit, like you couldn't pick up new items. They would just disappear. And in this case, there is no inventory limit. They just go into a long list. You can pick up as much stuff as you want. You don't have to worry about things, and that's great, because you don't, there's no need to worry about that. And there are some other little changes that they made. When you go to the shops in town, you can buy items and you can sell some of them, and that kind of helps. It helps ease the item process, the whole item system, because you don't necessarily have to go out to a map and try to find the specific item that you need, because you might be able to buy it in town, or you might be able to sell your other stuff for money. There are ways to make that process easier. But I actually found that there were some drawbacks to that, because there are so many different things to upgrade. You have a net for catching bugs. You have a fishing pole. These are mini games that have been in the past games. And you also have these words that you get that are quotes from the series that certain characters have said, and you use those sort of like equipment to buff up your stats, and you can improve those as well by spending certain items. But I felt like it was kind of random what it would cost to go up to the next level. So it wouldn't be like, okay, you use 2 pieces of cloud from Skypia to upgrade this to level 1 or to level 2, and then you would need like 6 of them to go to level 3. It would be like something completely different and random, and it felt like it wasn't really balanced properly. Like like I would be able to upgrade some certain thing a bunch of times with what I was finding, but then there would be another one that wouldn't appear until several stages later. So like, for example, it says, oh, you need to find some coral. That's obviously going to be from Fishman Island, but I haven't seen Fishman Island yet. And so my other items, I can improve them much better than this one. It's just sort of arbitrary that I can't level this up faster. And that was kind of annoying, and it felt sort of sloppy from a design standpoint. And it does sort of tarnish the feeling of progress in the game. And there's also no icons for them in your inventory, which is not necessarily a big deal. But when you have so many items in a game and they're all just words in a giant list, it kind of feels like there's not a lot that separates any of them. You don't get that sort of visual flair that spruces up the game and makes it feel more full-featured and more fun. So that was a disappointment, because the old ones, they did have little pictures for all the items that you pick up. The collecting, as I mentioned before, you get the bug net and the fishing pole. There are new mini games that you do. It's not the same as before. They're kind of easier, I think, but they're still kind of dumb. They're not that great, but you can do them as many times as you want. They all, like the animals, once you catch them, they'll just pop back up in the world within a couple seconds. So there's no issues with there. They do have, if you recall from the previous games, once again, there are lots of little spots where certain characters can do things. So like there are little monuments that Robin can read. There are special little digging spots in the ground that Chopper can dig up. And those are nice for like going back and collecting them later when you have the right characters. But on the other hand, you can only choose 3 of them at a time. And if you have to go and backtrack to use, because, I didn't have Robin in my party this previous time, so now I have to go back to that level and find the thing again. That can be kind of annoying. The RPG system, characters, you get XP for beating guys and doing missions and stuff, and that will increase your stats. You no longer have to use each move individually to level them up, which was really annoying in the previous game. So that's a big improvement in my opinion. And you can use your specials like right away. You don't have to unlock them. So there's no worry about that. The other thing is that the words that you equip that do stuff, there's a lot of them, and you could probably do some interest. There'll be different things like, this one will make you stronger against fire attacks, so you don't have to worry as much about them. Or this one will increase your attack strength. This one will make items sort of suck them up into you like a vacuum, so you don't have to go run over all of them. Little things like that. But the effects are kind of minor in my experience. It's hard to tell when they're really making a difference, which kind of feeds into some of the stuff I was saying earlier about how it just doesn't feel that balanced. It kind of feels arbitrary in a lot of ways. Because you don't feel that immediate change, it's sort of like when you go back to town, it's like, well, why would I bother to upgrade this stuff? Because it just doesn't seem to make that much of a difference. Let's see what else. And then there's these quest systems, and this is kind of where the multiplayer stuff kicks in. There's the main story mode where you fight bosses and you unlock new areas and go through the story. But then there's this quest system where, it'll say, okay, here's this list of quests you can do. This one says, okay, you have to go back and fight Caesar, but you can only do it with Luffy, no one else. Or, this is a race thing where you have to take this character and beat some other guys across the map, or, stuff like that, random things. And they're a nice bit of extra replay value, but they're also not that interesting. And a lot of them take a long time. They'll have like a time limit of 40 minutes. And it may not take you 40 minutes to do it, but it does kind of tell you, okay, there's a lot of stuff you're going to have to do before this. And if you lose, you don't get any benefits from what you've done. You lose all of your experience and the money that you gained. And sometimes that can be really annoying, because it'll be like, okay, you have to go back and fight this boss again, but you can't just fight the boss. You have to run through the entire level before you get there and fight like 20 little random enemies. And so you go through all of that, and then you fight the boss at the end. Well, if you lose, that you just lost all that time. I had that happen once or twice, and that was really frustrating and bummed me out. So that's kind of the general gist of the game. And like I said before, it kind of sounded like I had all these good things to say, but then there was also these bad things to say. It feels like they streamlined the game a lot, which made a lot of the previous annoyances a lot better. And I give them a lot of credit for doing that, because a lot of Japanese games, they iterate. They don't really make big leaps and bounds. It's sort of like they're just finally crafting the little details around the general idea of the game, the framework of the game. And in this case, I felt like they threw in a lot of new ideas, which was exciting to see. But in doing so, they kind of, I think they lost sight of some of the little details, and not everything was really implemented all that great. So it's kind of hard to say. I wish I could say that, oh, if you played the previous games but didn't like them, this is the one that will change your mind. I don't necessarily know that is an accurate thing to say. But I do believe that if you like the previous games, you will like this one, because at its core, the gameplay is still the same, and it still has that kind of cool, feeling of actually adventuring in the world of One Piece in a way that's kind of finely crafted and fun to play. It just still has all of these caveats that unfortunately kind of continue to plague the series. Now, I believe at this point, the time that I'm saying this, we know that the European Bandai Namco of Europe has taken out a copyright claim on it, but we don't know. I don't think they've actually announced anything officially, but we can hope they'll come out. It does seem like Europe gets the One Piece video games more reliably than in North America. I don't think we've heard anything about that. As far as the U.S. and Canada goes, so it's hard to say if this will ever come out in English. And unfortunately, because of the 3DS region issues, it would be really, in other words, even if it came out in Europe, you would still have to have a European 3DS to play it, which is unfortunate. But for those of you who do have those, then it seems like you'll get the chance to play this. So yeah, that is my full, uncensored, unabridged review of One Piece Unlimited World Red for the Nintendo 3DS. Overall, 3 out of 5. Nice.
Better than I would give the other Unlimited. The only other Unlimited I played and to not finish. I did, kind of on video game related news, I think I said this a few weeks ago, finally get Pirate Warriors 2. And
yeah, it was on sale, right?
Right, it was like $15 for PS Plus, and for just regular PSN users, it was still like 20 something. And I'm enjoying it a lot so far, mostly because as a very terrible video game player, I could just mash buttons and do fine. So I love button mashing games. I'm fine with that, and so I've really been enjoying it. Plus, it looks fantastic.
Yeah, it does.
So maybe no one cares about my opinions beyond like as it finishes, but I have a feeling I'm going to really enjoy the whole thing. I am not very far in it though. I need to play more often. And is there like a multiplayer with that where you could actually have other people over and play it like at the actual physical location?
Yeah, you can. There's a 2-player on the screen. It splits it in half.
Okay, because I want to we could have podcast people over at some point and just all play Pirate Warriors and see how bad I am. Okay. Thank you, though, Stephen, for that.
I would say one more thing. At some point, it's possible that, I know I teased this before, that me and Jason may try to do a Grand Line Gaming episode of that. I don't know. We're still on hiatus. I don't know when or even if we will come back. But if we do, this is one of the things on our list to do, because like I said, it may not come out in English at all, or, it doesn't seem like it'll come out in North America. So I'd like to be able to dedicate an episode to showing it off.
Well, that's almost as suspenseful as this week's manga. Okay. Why don't we get into the next segment, Stephen?
Sure.
This is the Piece Together segment where we take your questions, comments, theories, and figure out what the answer to them may actually be. We don't actually know the answer, though. but let's give it a shot. We are taking your questions on Reddit now. So you could check it out at reddit.com/r/OnePiece. We'll post a thread a couple days before the episode soliciting questions. Feel free to post. We get some great responses. Actually, some of the biggest responses from any form of media this week, because for some reason Twitter was very quiet. So let's start with Reddit. First question comes from Galactic Cow, who said, which characters do you think will fight which other characters in this arc in Dressrosa? I'll say to you guys ones that we are not sure about at this point. Or who do you hope will fight each other?
Do you think it's going to be the higher ranked guys will fight the monster trio?
Well, the monster trio is not all here. We got Sanji is off going to Zoe.
Yeah.
I like how you said that. Sanji's going to Zoe.
I think Zoro is going to have a side quest with Fujitora and Kinemon. So
yeah,
I don't think he's going to necessarily be involved in fighting the Doflamingo family at all.
Yeah, I agree with that. I thought you were going to say Zoro's going to have a side quest where he gets lost the entire time, which is also possible.
It's a given.
Very likely.
Next one's for
Wait, did anyone else have one?
Yeah, well, does anyone have people they want to see fight each other or think they'll fight each other?
I'm really excited for the possible, Zoro and Fujitora thing.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say Luffy versus Doflamingo.
What?
You think so? You think Luffy's going to lose?
No, well, one or two times. I mean, this is kind of a mirror of Alabasta, right? And then he'll put water on himself and he'll beat him. Wait, that's not how strings work. Okay. Any others? Okay.
Go ahead,
William, and then Steve.
I just want to see who was it? Frankie battle Sugar, just because Frankie's already part
toy
robot toy.
Yeah, I think that was actually one of the other questions. Was do you think Frankie would be like immune to her powers because he's already kind of a toy himself?
Oh,
I hope so. I think that would be hilarious.
Yeah,
it'd be like Corona all over.
Right, exactly.
And yeah, worst case scenario, I want to see Sugar battle Robin, so Robin can just use her powers to take away her candy from her fingers, just to annoy her.
Steve.
Maybe it was just because he was actually just physically doing it. Maybe I read into it a little too much, thinking that maybe this is his specialty. But if Dellinger likes to kick so much,
oh my God!
Oh no!
Why not fight Sanji?
No,
he's already left though.
He's gone off to Zoe.
I don't know. Zoe.
Maybe Sanji would be able to identify the Dellinger's gender properly.
No, I was gonna say it's like you should wear high heels again, and Sanji's like, no, never. Like almost tries to kill him.
It's too bad that we.
Yeah, Sanji's going to Zoe. Zoe what?
Okay, Game Boy 09 has a theory. I think we've discussed this a lot, so I'll read through it quick. Crocodile was a woman and turned into a male by Ivankov. He said, we know that there was a secret, and he says he guessed that up until the death of Goldie Roger, Crocodile was a woman. Probably due to past experiences and nothing due to his sexuality, Crocodile hated females or thought of them as weak, so he probably heard about a gender-swapping devil fruit from Ivankov. So, included, he has 3 reasons for this. 1, Crocodile calls him Croco Boy. Emphasis on the boy part. I don't really... maybe.
He does that with... Ivankov does that with
Luffy.
Several characters. So, yeah, I don't think that's not necessarily a point of proof.
Let's knock down this theory one by one, too. Sorry. Crocodile was drawn by... our child Crocodile was drawn by Oda. That could be seen. I believe that this could pass as a boy or a girl. I need to look at that. Oh, he has a link to that picture, doesn't he? I'll look at that. And... I don't know.
No, that's just a hairstyle.
I think that's, yeah...
But it's just gel. I mean, just yeah, no.
I don't think there's anything about that looks girly.
Just the hair backwards. That's the only thing.
Yeah, but Croc's hair is always backwards. Anyway.
Yeah, that's. But
So
yeah, I don't
knocking
know.
it down one by one. 3. Crocodile is the only one at the execution of Gold Roger whose face was not shown. That is accurate. Unlike Mihawk, Moria, and Doflamingo, we saw their faces. So I'm guessing that's unlikely, is what we all think for that.
Yeah, I don't know. This is one of those things that keeps circulating around because of the theory, which has quite a lot of evidence, that Oda based the original 7 warlords off of these 7 enemy characters in the Romancing Saga series from the Super Nintendo. And in that list, because we've talked about this before. I don't remember which episode, but like there's a guy who is like half fish, like Jinbei. There's I think there was a guy who was like a shadow, like Moria, and there's a lot of similarities between these characters. But the one that Crocodile corresponded to in that arrangement was a female. And I do agree that there is some kind of circumstantial evidence that sort of seems it does look suspicious. His kind of unexplained connection with Ivankov, for example. But on the other hand, I kind of don't like it as an idea, not because like I think that's a dumb twist, but it just kind of doesn't seem like there's any reason for that. Like there's no hinting throughout the Alabasta arc and all this other stuff. This is all kind of like really later stuff, and I think Crocodile's part in the story has mostly concluded. Oda can always bring characters back and do stuff with them, but it just seems like kind of a weird, extraneous, like added backstory near the end. It almost seems like a retcon sort of thing almost, and that's why I think it just doesn't. It seems a little sloppy to me to have that suddenly be like this big secret after 50 volumes later.
I agree. Next one comes from Justin K. Brown. He says, I really like this one. This is a theory. He says, we all know that Oda won't pass up on a chance to turn Usopp into a toy, specifically a Pinocchio-like toy. My theory is that after this happens and the Tontadas lose their memory of him, he'll try to use his lies to reintroduce himself as the great Captain Usolen, descendant of Mont Blanc Nolan. This will make his nose grow, and then the lies from the lies and Tontados will ignore him. I kind of like that.
Was he the one who had someone had this theory 2 weeks ago, right?
Oh, maybe it was repeated, and it
may have been him because we did do Reddit last week.
Yeah, well, it's on a new thread. Maybe he repeated it. I still like that theory, though.
Me too. I was just listening because it took me a really long time to listen through. I listened to a bunch of the segments from the last episode. I was just listening to the piece together a few days ago.
That's why we gave everyone 2 weeks, so you could listen to all 5 hours of it. I apologize. But it is probably one of my favorite episodes we've done. There's some really great stuff in there. And I hope you guys enjoyed the beginning to that. Okay, next one comes from The Hobbit. There's several numbers in there, but I don't know how to pronounce that. Yes, maybe it's been answered on the podcast already, but when do you hope to finish OPP Goes to Japan and have it available to the people? We actually just announced last week that we could now announce that it's coming out in March. We are hard at work, and we're doing some of the final processes of putting it together, which are also some of the lengthiest and most difficult, including translations, and which Stephen's been nice enough to help us out, or is going to be helping us out a little bit on, and Greg, of course, is going to be helping us out on. And that will be what takes a lot of the time. Of course, also the editing, which Jose is doing alone, which so much work goes into that. It's 95 hours into 90 minutes. Use your imagination there. Plus lots of Greg and myself babbling. Mostly myself. You heard some of the babbling on the trailer, or in the teaser trailer. Anyway, next one comes from Zoro's Pride, who has been on here before. The current anime filler arc discussion brought up an interesting point about devil fruit powers and the current arc. He says in Thriller Bark, Morio's powers were negated by salt, then again in Marineford by seawater. Shouldn't this be the same for all devil fruits that have the ability to control others? And he also goes on, shouldn't the toys return to normal if they were given salt or doused with seawater?
There's actually one of the answers here, I think, is the one that answers this, which is in Shinto religion, salt is used for purification. Since zombies are unholy, it makes sense that the salt purifies them so that the shadows can rest in peace. That was from Tugimi the Fife. So I think that is probably the response, that it was something more particular to Moria's specific powers.
I love how educated One Piece fans are. Yes.
Has Zed, the movie Zed, already been discussed on the podcast? I don't remember.
Not in detail, no.
Well, Greg talked about it a year ago. After.
Oh, right, Greg. Yeah,
that's about
it. There was probably 4 hours of discussion.
It's not going to be a spoiler thing, but in the movie, there's a scene where they are taking a bath in seawater, and Luffy and Brook both say that as long as part of their bodies out of the seawater, they're okay. So
half of his body is out of it, I think.
Yeah. So as long as as long as it's sea salt, maybe it could affect the whole thing. But I don't think it would be like Moria. Moria is more specific, related to Shinto than any other devil fruit, so I don't think it would work on any devil fruit, but it might just be like a smaller version of kryptonite to Superman, but for devil fruit users, but not as effective as Moria's was. I mean, I can't imagine that being the whole thing, because I mean, it's been years.
Mm-hmm.
But it would be stupid if no toy has ever had salt poured on them.
Right.
Or whatever. I mean, it would be ridiculous.
Nobody's ever been in a diner with a toy and just pranked him with a salt shaker?
No toy has ever thrown salt over his shoulder backwards, so no.
Yeah.
Zoro's Pride via Yonko Productions asked, since a lot has been going on with One Piece internationally over the last few years, including simultaneous anime, chapter releases, expanded Shonen Jump to numerous countries, One Piece in HD now on American television on Toonami every Saturday night at 1.
And on Crunchyroll.
And on Crunchyroll in HD now. Full page in the New York Times. So with all that together, what do you guys feel could be the next thing to further increase One Piece's popularity? Is there anything that could conceivably push it into the mainstream beyond just anime and manga fans? And conversely, is there anything you could think that could make it regress in popularity?
Yes, it can increase in popularity if it cures cancer.
It was on after school, Monday through Friday. That's how DBZ did it.
Yeah.
I would say, realistically, maybe the only thing that I could see, within the sort of boundaries of what the series represents now, something that would actually have a significant effect is if somehow they made some super amazing video game that made all these people that don't care about anime video games or video games based on anime series suddenly be like, oh wow, this is amazing, we have to play this now, and now that makes me want to check it out, because that's, I don't know, I mean, it's on Toonami now, and that's a huge step. It's kind of hard to see what else could possibly,
unless Toonami
make
goes
that same leap.
This will never happen, but if Toonami, aired every Saturday, every weekday afternoon, but that's not going to happen.
Right.
Or even if it aired on more than one night, I think One Piece would benefit. The big problem is, even though One Piece does air once a week in Japan, I think it would benefit a lot more if it ran 5 days a week or even 30 times a week, which I am very for. That's not going to happen. Captain Usopp-sama asked if you think there will ever be another official crew member. And are there any decent candidates in Dressrosa right now?
No, we have 10 crew members, including Jinbei, and that's it. I don't know where people get the idea that we need to have another one. He said 10. We have 10. I don't get it.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think there's room for some argument. Well, I think there's room for argument that maybe because Jinbei has not, finished whatever he's supposed to be doing, that maybe he won't actually. Maybe he'll just be a kind of a VV character, and will never break away from. Yeah.
Kinemon's more of a VV character because I think they're gonna have to go to his homeland and solve a problem there eventually. And it's basically the same kind of thing.
Okay, last two questions. No Last Name 100 says, do you think Zeph was a New World pirate? He told Luffy that the Grand Line is a paradise, which is what people who've been to the second half of the Grand Line call the first half. Also, his time as a New World pirate might play a part in a possible all-blue arc.
So I don't know. I mean, I suppose it's possible. I don't think, in comparison to the thing that I was saying about Crocodile, I think, Zeph was in a brief enough part of a shorter arc that I don't think it's necessarily that weird if it turns out, hey, he has a more elaborate backstory than previous. And I mean, we certainly know that he was a great pirate in his day. So it could be.
Okay. Possible. Yeah. We have one more Reddit question, and then we'll move on to emails. Yonko Productions, right? I reckon Frankie will, and then he says, I reckon Frankie will be immune to Sugar's devil fruit powers, which has caused all these tragedies in Dressrosa because he is a cyborg robot. Okay, so there is just to give credit.
Yeah, that was what I was.
So yeah, I do like that theory. Sorry, I should have. It was spoiler tag, so I didn't see it right away. Okay, let's go on to emails before we do our last segment here. First one comes from Thomas. First has a quick question about Wicca, the Tontata that was with Zoro. She was it is a she. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, the gender thing with the Tontatas. She was last seen in chapter 722 with Zoro when he met up with Kinemon and Sanji outside the Colosseum, but she has not been seen since then. Do you think she is still with Zoro or went off on her own? That's a good question. I completely forgot about that.
And it would make sense.
Still be with Zoro.
Yeah.
She's been very quiet.
Yeah.
She was hiding in his clothes, right? So
yeah, I completely don't remember, and I don't have the time at the moment to go back and check and figure it out. I'm sorry about that. I'd say still with him. Let's next go to Toby, who says he has a theory about Kaido. He thinks since he has been referred to as the beast, as a beast or animal by law, Kaido may have eaten a human Smiley, and because of this, Chopper might actually play a crucial role in Kaido's arc, as Kaido would kidnap him and study him to reveal the original fruit. That's a very specific theory. I don't know if you guys have thoughts.
Well, it is true that the chapter title pattern of the numbered person, the number of the people, the third person, the fifth person, etc., has actually not happened for Chopper. So it is something that lurks in the back of my mind, like, oh, maybe Oda still hasn't had that arc. Maybe there will be something in the future that Chopper is really fundamentally involved with, more so than the other crew members. So
yeah, well, I really would have thought that would have been last arc.
Yeah, it could have been.
Yeah,
the doctor experimentation stuff.
Yeah, I would have thought so as well.
Maybe
I think Chopper's proven himself like time and time again. It's like,
yeah, it is weird that he has not had that.
It might have been a lapse, he might have forgotten.
That's the Occam's razors that Oda just forgot.
And if he said,
it's actually the Toriyama principle.
That is the Tory.
Yeah, okay.
That's the official scientific
I stand
name.
corrected.
Yeah.
A fan from Guatemala asks, he says he's been listening to us for a year and a half, but this is first time writing in. He says, why don't we post podcast episodes on YouTube? Well, I saw this message and it reminded me that I should post episodes on YouTube. We talked a little bit about it at the top of the show, but we will have we will have episodes on YouTube around a month after they air. So everyone who's listening and downloads could hear it, immediately, so give that enough time. So if you have friends who are too afraid to listen to us and download us or stream us on our site, you could tell them to go to YouTube. I'm also planning, after this first one, which was more like a pilot episode, to get that out there. The Strongcast Platinum is online right now for anyone listening. But after this, I'm going to put high-quality versions on. The reason we can't put the highest quality ones on the download and the stream is because it would take forever to download it and destroy our bandwidth. Plus Stitcher, if you listen on Stitcher, it actually is even slightly lower quality than what we use. So if you want the highest quality, I'm hoping it will soon be on YouTube, but it will be a month after we release them on the site. Sorry if that was a very boring answer. Hey guys, this one's from Noah. It's another podcast-related question. Just a quick question for you. Do you guys, in the near future, plan on switching back to commentary-style anime recaps? I think it's fair to say, he says, that the One Piece anime has gotten far better as of late, and that the days of Transformer-like animation are over. I'm gonna... I'll send this one to Steve.
I don't know. We've kind of pushed back doing the anime because
there's no manga next week.
No manga. Yeah, we're gonna do the anime next week because we were busy with our season finale.
Agree with that?
Do I agree with doing commentary?
Or with the quality of One Piece?
Well, we did have fun doing the Fishman stuff. You remember that?
I don't know if fun's the right word, but we made the best of a bad situation.
Truth.
I actually have really enjoyed doing the recap style and taking notes. It's a very different experience. Like, I pay attention to little things. I remember, like, when we're doing... Commentaries had their own little fun thing where you just talk over things and end up getting into weird conversations, which is always fun.
We talk more about the episodes now than we did before.
That's the thing.
That is true. That is true. And I do have to admit, sadly, anime recaps, I think, are our least popular section of each episodes.
Yes.
So I think it's better to keep them short and on topic. And I don't know, like, every now and then, who knows, if there's no anime, and if the Toonami episodes are really good, maybe we'll do a commentary of that.
Well, let me put it this way. When there's a really amazing episode, like, that's consistently great, like, let's hope, an episode like the Mr. Cravat one would be very, very good. And then we'll do a commentary because
it's like if we get another moment like Whitebeard dying, I think we'll make an exception.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be an anime episode that warrants commentaries, but I think it has to be so good that it warrants talking about it for 25 minutes. I'll put it that way. Jeff Bolton said he had a theory about Mr. Cravat. Something has been bothering me about him taking Luffy's disguise. Kinemon gave Luffy his beard with his ability, so wouldn't it disappear when he took it off? In this shot of Mr. Cravat as Lucy, we plainly see he has the beard. Since Oda has dropped hints about us not seeing his face yet, it wouldn't surprise me if he is sporting a beard now. It would be hilarious and also maybe serve to hide his identity from a nobility that thinks he's a noble that thinks he's dead. Keep up the fantastic work, amigos. What do you guys think?
Well,
don't all jump in at once.
I don't know. I mean, I haven't thought about the mechanics of Kinemon's clothes beam, if it's also a beard beam. Is there any indication that, like, in the past where it's been that they disappear if you take them off, or?
Yes,
yeah, once.
But we don't.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the thing. We know it's clothing. Does a fake beard count?
Maybe it does.
Steven?
Yeah, maybe the beards were like props that they had that they weren't related to Kinemon. And we know that all the arena stuff, the helmet and the cape and stuff, were from the waiting room there. So that are Kinemon's.
Yeah. All right. Ed,
yes, maybe.
Ed, it's everyone's favorite segment. What is it?
Piece the tweet.
Yeah.
Piece the Tweet is where we take your questions, comments, and theories on Twitter. People have gotten confused, and Piece the Tweet is just Twitter.
I'll start.
Please.
Jackson G asks, I'm guessing that Sugar's finger food is plums. Too obvious of a pun for it to be anything else.
Well, it's not. It's we're talking in Japanese, right? So I'm pretty sure that Oda doesn't know about the English pun.
He made a pun off of Columbus, so.
Yeah, and Santa Maria. He literally the Santa Maria, which is not really English, but still.
Well, for him, it's Santa. So Yanta. Santa Maria.
Yeah.
But it translates. It's just the same in Japanese. Well, actually, in Japanese, it's Yonta and
Right.
Santa Yonta. In English, I was actually surprised when it wasn't translated. Yonta. Then again, it wouldn't be as funny.
Well, no, it was translated Yonta, wasn't it?
No, it just said Yonta Maria.
Oh, right.
Well, yeah, but that's the joke.
That's the
well, yeah, but
thank you, Steve.
Not everyone would get that.
Yeah. Well, not everyone has to get everything.
Ed, you skipped over a good one but it was from a little while back. And I guess we never did it. It was on the 16th of December. I don't know why it's coming up on
my Piece the Tweet thing is only showing things from the last 48 hours.
No, this one comes. I don't know if we've done this one, but I don't remember doing it. Mr. Roano Asanji said during Nolan's story, we see a kid wearing a straw hat, which is true. We see in the manga there's someone actually wearing a straw hat standing next to Nolan. What do you think? How far does its legacy go? He asks.
I don't know. Ancient.
Again, that was in a picture book, so
right.
I also might not be.
The straw hat is the Highlander.
Yeah, I think that's probably the answer we're looking for. Ed, you could read the last one. It's a really cool find, though.
Well, there's actually one more quick one I want to do first.
Oh yeah, sure.
And another Steven asks, do you know if we can play Pirate Warriors 2 on the PS4? Does anyone know that?
No. You mean buy it and play it on the PS4?
I mean, it's on PlayStation Network. I don't see why not.
No, it's not PS3 compatible, and it will not work. And I came to that answer all on my own and without Steven's help. Is there any other?
Yeah, there's one more question, and it's from You Stay Nerdy, who asks, do you think there is any reason Oda didn't show Sabo's face? And if you listened to our last episode, there's a pretty good reason.
There's we
don't know what it is, but
there's a reason, but we don't know what it is. Okay, I think that's all for Piece Together. Why don't we round off this first episode of 2014?
Alrighty, let's do it.
Okay. 'This has been the unofficial One Piece podcast, episode 300 for the week of Monday, January 6th, 2014. Great episode today, guys. Joining me on this ending segment, we have Greg, Steven, Steve, and Ed. Hey, guys.
Hey.
Hello there.
Doing well, everyone?
Hello.
It's been a good episode.
Hello. Hello, nurse.
I feel like you've done that one already.
Probably.
I think of something other than the Mrs. Doubtfire hello, but
so I, of course,
after 300 episodes.
Yes, yeah, I do think. So I want to, of course, give a big thank you to Sasaki Hisashi for coming on the show again. Follow him on Twitter, and of course, go to shonenjump.com. And it's time to renew your subscription if you started when we did, which is at the beginning. And a lot of people, probably your subscription's almost up. I think mine runs out at the end of this month. So make sure you're subscribed through next year. It's only think $26 for the year. What is that, like 50 cents an issue? No, less than that, right?
Yeah, it's just around there.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
It's super cheap for what you're getting. So go do that. Don't miss out on that.
Also, you can follow him on Twitter at Sasaki, SASAKI _ Hisashi, HISASHI.
And well, even if I remember, which I probably won't, well, it'll be not only in the description, but if you have the AAC feed, you'll be able to click it straight from here, so you can check out his Twitter account. He posts some really cool insights and a lot of awesome quotes. Check that out.
Lots of quotes.
And birthdays.
And that's true, birthdays, which I forget a lot of the time. I mean, Greg, you know your birthdays. I know you do. So, so I'm sure you don't need the reminder. But for myself, it's cool to sometimes see when those fall, especially on your own birthday, like Usopp for me. Anyway, I do want to give a huge thanks for Greg for really putting this together and making this possible. I mean, incredible. And just thank you again.
Right?
Yeah.
When you came to me with the idea, I was like, oh man, I don't know if this is gonna work. But I sent an email and got a response and was like, yeah, that sounds interesting. And I was like, yay! I don't believe it. And we're very, very fortunate and very happy to have a good team involved with this, and just very lucky to have, I guess, him in charge of English Weekly Shonen Jump as well. As far as things coming directly out of Japan, it's very good to see the kind of global perspective of One Piece and other manga as well being spread around the world, and we've seen the effects of that. Just in the past 2 years, I think so.
And just in the past few months, I mean, we've really... the New York Times thing still blows my mind. And I know in Taiwan as well, they have the One Piece event that's going to be showing there soon. And the fact that now it's in South Africa, Ireland, Australia, New Zealand, England, UK. It's nice. It's
South
unbelievable.
Africa?
I said South Africa, right?
South Africa? Yeah.
It's unbelievable
to
just see it all over the world, and I'm really excited to just see it spread to more and more and more countries. If you, as I said at the top of the show, also we are now on YouTube. We're putting episodes from around a month back. They're going to be in super high definition. I know it's audio, but it'll be in high quality audio starting next week. We're really excited. Check it out. YouTube.com/One Piece Podcast if you haven't.
Now, Zach, not to criticize you, I'm genuinely interested, but haven't we done this a couple times in the past?
Yes.
Tried to YouTube. Okay, now what is different this time? What can fans look forward to this time?
Well, first off,
high quality?
First off, the high quality. Starting in the next one, we kind of ran the pilot program with Strongcast Platinum. I was seeing what file formats actually work, but everything will. We had a lot of issues. We had a syndicated feed. For those who don't remember, it's still available. It's youtube.com/OPP episodes. You could check out probably around 50 of our episodes. I think it's a whole season, season 3. You could check
50 classic episodes of the One Piece Podcast.
Thank you. I was expecting Ed to do his old-timey voice there, too.
Nope.
I have to get back on the microphone for this. No, what's different, though, is that these will be as soon after as we feel comfortable putting them after they're released. So just a month or a little bit more than a month after they are released on the podcast, you'll be able to go to YouTube. And we'll be doing this once a week. And the thing is, the syndicated episodes did very well. Some of them got, over 9,000 listeners.
What?
So you can look forward to that. I think that's just about everything. It's incredible that we have made 300 episodes plus of this show in 4.5 years, and it's a real milestone, and I'm glad we got to celebrate it in a big way today. But Ed, it wouldn't be a One Piece podcast if you didn't say how people could contact us.
It sure wouldn't, Zach. They can go to OnePiecePodcast.com. They can go to Twitter.com, YouTube.com, Facebook.com/OnePiecePodcast. OnePiecePodcast@gmail.com is our email address. One Piece Podcast is our Skype name. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes. Subscribe on the Stitcher Smart Radio app. Go to the Reddit community. We post Piece Together threads there. We still have a Tumblr that we use occasionally.
You're using it more now.
Yeah, OnePiecePodcast.tumblr.com. And they can also call us on our phone number, Zach.
That phone number just happens to be 347-497-MAJI.
Maji.
That phone number again is 347-497-6254. Call anytime.
Call anytime.
With your questions, comments, theories, suggestions, everything, every reason you like One Piece, we'll take it. Leave a message if you want to come on. I'm going to say make a couple announcements for what we're doing next week. And first off, this year is going to blow your mind. We're going to do, not only is One Piece Podcast Goes to Japan coming out this March, but we plan on having some really special guests in the next few months that we have booked, but I don't want to announce it yet because things fall through. So keep an ear to the ground. Next week, we're returning with our call-in show. We have been getting inundated with people asking us to do another one of these. And since the manga is off, we figure it's a very good time to do that. We'll do a nice, probably hour-long piece together. Plus, we have our anime recap marathon, which probably will be around 5 minutes long, going through the filler arc that has just aired. I have yet to see any of them, so I'm going to just marathon.
Me neither, Zach.
So let's do it together, Ed. We don't have to do that since we live in different states. You don't even live in a state; you live in a district. So you have that to look forward to next week as well, and then hopefully we'll have a lot more guests coming on in the next few months. Not to even mention that we're going to do a whole slew of 5th anniversary special episodes for you guys. Those will be in May, June, July. We're really excited for everything that's coming down the road. So I want to, again, give a big thanks to Greg for coming on the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. And just, plug it.
Please.
If you haven't listened to episode 299, go listen to it now.
We won't spoil it for you, but listen to
I'm not even kidding. Yeah, listen to it now.
I know it is an intimidating length. I think it is our longest episode ever. I claimed it was, so it's got to be. But it's probably one of our best episodes ever, and it's just amazing to see where we've come in this time. So definitely give that a look.
I'd say give it about 5 minutes.
I'd say around 5 minutes too. I think you'll be hooked for the rest of the time, at least most of the time. So yeah, mostly. That was a terrible Cartman impression I just did.
Mostly come out at night. Mostly.
Thank you, Steven, our special guest as always, for coming on the show.
Steven had to leave to eat dinner.
Oh, that did happen. I thought that was Steve. You see, I got confused because they have the same name. Thanks to Steven, who is now eating. So, for the unofficial One Piece podcast, my name is Zach.
My name is Ed.
And my name is Steven, but you can call me Steve. Mostly.
Goodbye, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Enjoy Crazy Rainbow.
Crazy Rainbow. Ooh.
That was a bad one.
Crazy rainbow さ Twinkle twinkle rainbow さ コバルトブルーな2色を重ねていこう Crazy rainbow さ Twinkle twinkle rainbow さ 瞳に映った悲しいリアルを壊せ ぬくもり付きの羽をあげよう シュールなだって星心から歌うのさ
「
The movie event of the summer is coming this winter. We scoured Japan for the biggest One Piece events. We interviewed the biggest One Piece names. And now you're going to see Japan's biggest phenomenon for yourselves. A One Piece podcast goes to Japan, coming this March. We are Maji.
I'm just imagining someone from the 1920s saying, "We are Maji," and being very confused by the whole concept.
Yeah, it's not as good as the serious one, but I like that.
I'm probably going to throw that at the end of the episode.
Okay.